Fitchburg Planning Board, Tuesday, January 28th, 2025, meeting this evening. And my first item of the evening is just to take roll call to see who we have present for members for our recording. And if you're here, just say here. And I've got Lynn.
Here.
Awesome. Rachel. We have Amanda.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Paul.
Here.
Paula. Here. Tracy.
Here.
All right. I'm going to read a brief opening statement. All meetings of the Fitchburg Planning Board are open to the public. This does not mean that the public participates in all aspects of the meeting. It simply means that the meeting itself, including all discussions and votes, is open for public view. If you wish to address the board regarding a public hearing, please raise your hand and the board will acknowledge you at the appropriate time during the hearing. The board will also monitor any participants that are attending virtually for questions at the appropriate time. Virtual attendees are asked to use the raise hand function to be acknowledged. 1, state your name and address. 2, approach the center table and either stand or sit. This allows you to be seen and heard clearly by everyone in attendance. 3, the planning board requests that comments be limited to no more than 5 minutes in the interest of time. Please be advised that FATV is conducting audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast, and I ask that anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by stating their name and address.
For the record, we do have a hand raised in the audience. Do you want to see what
Virtual?
they have to say? Yeah.
Just a moment. I guess whether or not they're actually recording it themselves.
That's why I
To
told
see
you.
if they are.
Oops, sorry, forget it.
All set?
Whoever I hit to unmute, unless you have something, we're all set.
If that was addressed to David Babineau, I am not recording tonight.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Going right into our agenda this evening. We do not have any approval not required plans. That's underneath the subdivision control law. We do have a minor site plan for the applicant of Sandra Adaro, proposes an apparel store at the location of 329 Main Street within the downtown business district. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
See you this evening. Yeah, take my readers off so I can see you here. Welcome. So you're here this evening.
Yes, I'm Sandra Doro. I'm from Athol, Mass. I have my own business that's been in business for over 3 years in town, but I am looking to relocate to a busier area. Athol is just not really cutting it for me.
Okay.
And I've already looked at this business, the building down here, and I think it'd be perfect.
Great. So do you know, I know you did submit a plan, so we know approximately like the square footage there. And
Yes, my store right now in town is 500 square feet. This is 6.
okay.
So I could completely fill it up very easily with product.
And for retail use?
Yes, retail. It's a women's lingerie boutique, menswear, shoes, clothing, hosiery. It's a little bit of everything, but it's like a little specialty boutique.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you know what was there previously? Just curious in that location.
A recording studio.
A recording studio.
Yeah, it was very
Okay.
weird because they have the second room back was bright red with a chandelier hanging.
Okay.
It's so weird.
All right. So I think we're probably here for site plan because of just a change in use of the location.
Right.
Is that what our understanding, though, is that because that retail use is allowed by right in that district, so
Okay.
we're here just for that.
Yes.
You intend to just have interior trash? You're not putting any?
Oh, yeah, I take my own trash home. I'm not doing anything to the outside, just paint on the inside. That's it.
Okay. I have a question. So any board members have any questions regarding this application this evening?
No, we did have, for those that might remember, we did have this site in front of us within the last meeting or two for a redevelopment of residential spaces. So I'm trying to pull up the street scene so you guys can see what I'm saying.
On the second floor?
Yep. So this is the building we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about, is it this space right here?
Yes.
So this space right here.
Fantastic.
It's the space next to it. I believe it's the space next to it. It's the smaller of the
Right here?
spaces, yep.
Okay.
With that little window, yeah.
Oh, this one right here.
Right there on
Okay.
the
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Does any board member have any question regarding this application? Nope. Anybody online? Lynn, do you have a question? Anything? So,
I just have
nope.
one quick question.
Sure.
Other than the window graphic, will there be any other signage on the building?
No, I just have a professional window graphic made.
That's it.
I can pull it up if you bear with me for 1 second. She sent it in.
there we go. There's your FATV plug right there.
Thank you.
There you go. It's the advertisement out. 329 Main Street. When do you plan to open?
Probably by March 1st.
On March 1st.
Yep.
Great. This is not a public hearing, so there's no hearing component to this. And if any board members have any, don't have any further questions, we can vote
I'll
on
make a
that.
motion to approve the minor site plan for 329 Main Street. No conditions.
All right.
Second that motion?
There's a motion was made with a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say oppose, and roll call vote. Now, Lynn?
Aye.
Amanda? Aye. Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
Aye. Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We are now into the public hearing segment this evening, and in front of us, we have special permit and site plan review, Brennan Industries, proposing to build 3 duplexes, a total of 6 units, on an adjacent development consisting of 2 duplexes, 4 units, to be merged together as one lot, with 10 overall units, located at 74 to 76 Smith Street, 8486 Smith Street, and 0 Gale Street, within the RB and commercial zoning districts.
Anthony, you want to start with the site plan? Is that what you want me to put up?
Yeah, you can bring up the layout plan as the one that we basically looked at last time, which had pretty much all the information on it. Please?
Okay, let me zoom in a little bit here. Try and get it a little more visible.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Cleaves. I'm with Haley Ward. Also here is Ian Brennan from Brennan Industries. So where we left off last time, we had a few items to come back on. I think that the main one was the access to the property and the driveway. We had originally had access coming in off of Smith Street, looping around to those 3 new buildings there, and the discussion was if we could, try and do it differently and maybe come in off of Milton Street and not have kind of that throughway, through that area, and also allow us a little more landscaping up on Smith Street. So we looked into that and saw that there was nothing that would prohibit us from doing that. So that's what we've shown here. So that was a major change on the layout, was that driveway as the board had requested. So you'll see that driveway to Smith Street was taken away. We still have a turnaround area, so you could come up Milton for emergency vehicles. Could turn in and then back out for those emergency or any kind of delivery vehicle. Also, what was asked is to look at if we could put in some additional parking above what was required for visitors at various times. So what we ended up doing, we ended up adding 8 additional spaces on top of that, 2 at the end of that turnaround, and then 6 parallel spaces along the pavement along the front of those units. So, pretty well located that, everyone could use those there pretty easily in close proximity. Another comments was in regards to some landscaping. So what we've added, I think it's, Smith Street was the biggest focal point, but we did add some more, some planting, some bushes in between the new units on the downside of the page, and then up on Smith Street. One of the areas that was, 2 of the areas that were pointed out specifically were, there's an existing kind of island between the 2 existing buildings there. So we're calling that to be a proposed landscape island, and we're showing, a tree in the middle and some bushes around that as was discussed. And then on the left-hand side, at the very end of Smith Street, that was where that driveway was going to go. But that driveway going away helped, free up some more space, same kind of thing, tree and some bushes in there to help add some landscaping along the Smith Street side. Another comment that was brought up was about the screening of trash receptacles of those existing buildings on Smith Street. And so what we're doing, we called on the plan, is to have them tucked up against the porch, which is where they're actually being placed now. They fit in really nice. And just screening that area with a fence or vegetative screening. Hadn't really decided what really works best there, but it is right up against the railing of the porch and tucked up against the building. So it's a nice little spot where they're kind of secluded already. So it should be a pretty simple addition to screen that, again, whether it's we decide to do a fence or something vegetative to hide that there. So those were really the comments that came up from the site plan part of it. Other comment was in regards to more the architectural. So before we get to that, if you want to comment on any of the things that we just discussed first before we get to the architecturals, however you'd like to proceed.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm glad that you addressed the landscaping components because, yes, specifically, Smith Street.
Yeah.
Because that's right from the public view, so that's going to,
Yeah.
I think, enhance it. Are you still keeping the fencing along the back between the units?
For now, that is the plan, yeah, to keep that separation. It was a pretty new fence.
Okay.
A nice 6-foot, white, vinyl fence. So right now, the intent was to try and maintain that.
All right.
I did have a question about the road width. So our fire department doesn't traditionally like 20-foot wide aisle widths. You have 20 on Milton. I was looking at, now I didn't take a tape out to Milton there, but I'm looking at the GIS, and according to the GIS from an aerial measurement, it looks like the existing pavement that was redone not too long ago is almost 24 feet.
So it's 20 feet at the very end of Milton Street, and then it continues to increase as you get to Clyde.
Okay.
So as you get a little closer, when you get to, there's a driveway cut there. It's about 23 feet wide there, and then when you get to actually Clyde, it's 26. They have some off-street parking. It looks like people are parking there. But right at the end of Milton, it is 20. It's only a 33-foot wide right-of-way, so there isn't a lot of room there. 20 feet is the standard for emergency access. It used to be 18 years ago.
So most importantly, did you get a sign off from the fire department or DPW on the width?
So we've been, Mr. Brandt's been speaking with the fire department. They're well aware of this going in, the turnaround, and so we had no comments back in the issue.
We'd be looking for making sure we get their feedback if the turnaround's adequate in the width.
Yep, so I mean, it's our discussions, they didn't raise any concerns. I don't know, we're not part of the loop in the back and forth with the planning department.
Okay.
They didn't express any issues.
So obviously, I can't speak for the rest of the board. I like the changes. I think everything works, and I have no problem with anything. If it's 20, we can't approve it unless the fire department says that's okay. If it's 24, I have no problem with it.
So 20 is what's in the, 18 is what's in the code?
No. We just went over this with our fire department. Road width for street roads and development roads is 24 feet.
Right.
So 20 might be allowed. From historically, our fire department is not okay with 20 feet.
Right, and it's not a road. So it's access to this project too. So it's.
Well, Milton Street is a street. It's private, but it's a street.
Right, it's a paper street.
So, okay. So
33 feet.
So if you make it 24,
wide.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
If you make it 20, you need permission from the fire department to be okay.
Yeah.
And I mean.
We could look at conditions.
So could we?
Yeah, we could condition it
I
on
was just gonna
that.
ask if that would
But I also, I want the conversation with the fire department to be not, are they okay with 20? Do they want to see 24?
Yeah.
Because again, historically, 20 is not okay for access to developments. I've been doing this a long time. I can't think of a project we did 20 feet for access to a development. So, and quite honestly, I don't think 24 is problematic because you have the room to do it. So. But aside from that, that's my only comment.
Yeah, we really need our department comment on that aspect. So we're just looking for feedback.
So you need some feedback from the fire department.
We're looking, just that's certainly a piece,
Would that be
otherwise.
something that, like, you guys can discuss
Yeah.
later on, but maybe as a conditional?
Yep.
Yeah, if everything else is
It's
okay.
basically-
If everything else is okay, I don't have a problem with.
Okay, no, thank you,
that.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you got the vinyl screen dumpster, and you've got the snow storage area, and I am very pleased to see the additional parking spaces for visitor parking.
Yeah, all good comments, so we'll try to,
Yeah, no, you did a good job. I mean, it's a good revised plan, and I know I wasn't particularly against the access from Smith Street, but at the same time, considering the other two are already existing, why mess with what's already there? Let's.
no, it was good
this is
comments,
something
absolutely.
separate,
That's-
so.
We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I like the landscaping and on the Smith Street ones too, like the breaking it up a little bit.
Well, and I would say it did come about because there was public comment, so from the neighborhood about
Yeah.
that, so splitting it up, so, aspect. So now you're going to go into, and we will take
Yeah,
more
so the other.
public comment on this, but let's
Other
show
comments
us
that came back was
the elevations.
kind of the architectural style to the units. And so Mr. Brennan went through and updated his architectural plans and provided some more information on that that you guys can,
Are these the pictures you want me to pull up?
yeah, probably be.
Yeah, there's,
I have four.
yeah, there's two of them are existing
Existing.
of 74, 76. So you can see, the vinyl siding. And then this one right here, I actually brought copies because the board and batten might be tough to see. Do you guys mind if I
I can pass them.
Yeah.
You can talk.
So I know it doesn't match the footprint, so is this going to be, it looks like this, but without the garage?
No. I'm doing this more for the siding. So on I have new architectural plans that I also sent over, so you guys could.
Architectural plans attached to the site.
They,
Because all I have is 5 documents. I have the 4 images and the site plan.
Thank you.
I sent these all over to Chantel.
Okay.
That looks good.
Yeah, we didn't have any other elevation other than the photos.
So
You should have all that.
do you guys have these?
No.
Let me take a picture. And unless
Because I sent these all over.
that's fine. I trust you. We don't have them, but I trust you.
Do you want me to email it to you?
Yes. Email it. You have my email address? Email it to me.
You
Yeah,
email.
then he can, bring-
Yes, it
Bring 'em
comes
up.
up better than a picture.
yep.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
But this is basically to give an example, because you might say, what does the siding look like? This is a house I just built on Goodfellow and sold. But the siding, if you look at the top, that's the board and batten
Yeah.
vinyl siding, which
I
would
like
be
that.
on Smith Street,
Yeah.
as on the new plans. I also expanded the front roof, goes all the way to the end, it's like a little hip roof, and the windows on top move in, they're not right on top of each other. And I have a hard copy, hopefully we can put it up on the screen.
And are you going to do the same porch roof, similar as in the photograph here?
So it's gonna, what are you looking at? It's gonna be,
Metal?
it's not gonna be metal, it's gonna be black architecture, but it's gonna be a hip roof.
Okay.
It'll have the black drip edges, the black gutters, same thing. So this is the one that's existing, but I expanded the roof, and then they also have a little architectural feature at the top.
Black doors, similar?
I can paint them black, actually, I'm gonna paint them black. I painted that one black.
Yeah, I like that.
Looks
They
good.
look
Looks
good.
good, yeah.
It just doesn't even look like it has a door. Like, there's no, like, as we brought up, the architectural,
It's probably a big file, so it might take a minute. So just
Yeah, it's,
bear with me.
it's like missing a feature at the apex there.
So I just forwarded you the email, Paul. What it is there's 4 images and 1 PDF. So the PDF is what has the architecturals.
Okay.
As we're waiting for that to come up, is there anybody here in the audience that is here to speak on this matter, that would like to speak on this
We do
matter?
have a hand raised. You want to take virtual comment?
Yeah, I don't see anybody here. So virtually, yep.
Yep. Donna, whenever you want to speak, just hit the microphone button.
Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, so my concern was the traffic on Smith Street. Have they rectified that? Is that going to be rectified? How are we doing that? That's going to put an additional about 20 cars going up and down that small area,
So
if
Donna,
not more.
we are pleased to report that that some of the comments you made at the last meeting, and we looked at the access ways, and pretty much what you see now there is what's going to stay there, and the 3 units that are proposed are to be accessed off of Milton Street. on the
Okay, so
back.
that,
So there will be no
those-
other driveway there on this side. All the traffic for the new buildings will be from the opposite side of the property. And now maybe you can
Okay.
see it on the plan that Paul just posted.
so that will go from Tilton Street onto Clyde Street, that area?
Correct.
Yes.
Now, who owns Tilton Street?
Milton Street? That's a
Well,
public way.
whatever.
It's a public
No,
way.
it's a private way. Private way. It's a private way.
I own it with the other abutters. Yes.
Okay.
But who owns it?
The property owners that abut it own it.
Well, I thought that was owned by some other person.
No.
Who owns the property?
It's a right-of-way
I own it. I
that,
have 2 letters from attorneys right here.
Okay.
that people have access to and have the right
Yep.
to improve
So
it.
they have a right to improve the way to access the property to the rear.
Okay, so the 2 houses that are facing Smith Street now, the existing houses now, they will come up and down Smith Street, and then the rest of them will go out the other way to Clyde Street?
Yes, nothing will change on your side of Smith
Nothing will
Street.
change on Smith Street
Okay.
other than some,
All right.
new landscaping.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was my only concern.
All right, and I have the email now, so hold on one second. Gonna get. Oh, I didn't realize my screen share is still going on. Hold on one second. Okay, let's new share. All right. And these are.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Okay, so I extended the porch kind of all over to the end. There's a hip roof. I made the rake boards on top a little bit better. Those are going to be all white. And then at the top, you see this will be PVC board. So we're actually going to build out the front with PVC and 1x4. And then under that, there's going to be vinyl board and batten on that house I built on 28 Goodfellow. I just wanted to show you what it looked like. That's the same exact vinyl we're going to be using here, and then the vinyl siding. And then you go further down, we have, some, carriage lights.
Oh, did you want to stay on the front? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're talking about here, yep.
Yep.
Some of the
Yep.
alterations we made, and then, I'm going to paint the doors black because it doesn't cost that much and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And then on the back, I did the same thing. Again, we're going to put the PVC on the top, bigger rake boards at the top, and you'll have black drip edges and the black gutters. And I did make the decks a little bit bigger. They're going to go out to the bulkhead. The other one before, it was just kind of like a landing area and then goes out to the backyard. And then same with the windows. You can see that it's a 6/1. The other ones didn't have that. It's a little more, I don't know, people like it better, I guess. But we'll have Mackey's make the 6/1 window. And then the front view, you can see it if you notice, the windows aren't aligned. The bedroom windows upstairs are further in.
Yeah.
And the other ones we moved kind of further out to the side. And we kind of added like a little better door. So
Aesthetically better than, being right above each other.
Yep.
there's no PT. It's all wrapped in
Right.
PVC.
A window trim the same black, like the remaining, like the trim of the house trim?
They're going to be white windows with white trim.
Okay, so not exactly like.
It's not going to be, I was just wanted to show the siding on Goodfellow, not the windows.
So it's the windows on the bottom one, with the exception of the 6/1, the white and
Are you
the
having,
siding on the Goodfellow.
you still do like black shutters or no? Not sure how that would look with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a little too busy with the shutter. I mean,
Only because
I'm
of the-
open to it.
You don't have the black, well, yeah, well, that would be fine.
You're going to have black drip edges and the black gutters, which
Yeah.
on the rake boards, I mean, it's going to pop.
Yep.
Shutters.
Yeah, I don't think I would do shutters here.
No, I think the black doors.
Unless you're actually going to close them.
Fake shutters for the purpose of fake shutters?
Yeah.
No, I think that it's a substantial change and a good one. It looks like, and I don't generally particularly care about this other than bedrooms, but it looks like 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I have a video I sent over of one I just did. If you want to see what it looks like inside, and it has like the little drone that goes over it. It was in that email. I don't know if you know.
Oh, it was in the email that
Yeah.
Anthony just sent?
It might have been.
Oops, hold on. I gotta always remember to pause when I get to my emails. Hold on, let's see.
How do you do mail? Do you have to put a box out front at all, or
Might be a different.
how does mail get delivered to the property?
So I
You're gonna
go
put a bo-
to
you put-
like the postmaster general down here, and he comes out and he determines what he wants. I assume he's going to want like a 6 lockbox. That's kind of what they want for a lot of new builds. You kind of can't get away with the. They might get away with it, but typically it's probably going to be a 1 box with 6.
Probably towards the end of the drive or something like that.
Yeah, that's federal jurisdiction. They kind of make that determination on every build I do.
I can't pull it up because it was sent through Chantel's link, so when I try to pull up the image, it asks for access. I mean, I could click on it and you can see if you can give me access, but.
Let me see. Manage sharing. It's playing on my phone.
It's fine.
Have you already come forward, done an A&R to combine the property?
So an A&R plan wouldn't be needed. None of the boundaries on the outside are changing. So if anything, if the assessors, sometimes they require what they call an 81X plan, which is just a consolidation. So it's nothing that would come to the planning board. It would just be a plan that would get recorded. Usually the assessors would tell us that if they wanted that.
I guess I would be looking at as a condition to indicate that it's all one property, so to speak.
I would, as
Solid
kind of to
stuff like
bridge
that.
both points,
Thanks.
I know obviously the assessors recently have mentioned some things, especially in the EDF, about, whenever we have lot subdivisions, or in this case, we have a
Fine.
combination, that they have that plan. So can you reach out to them and we'll make it a permit condition that is, if they require it, that you provide it to them?
Sure.
Okay. Because sometimes the things that they need to be able to tax property isn't something that is pertinent to our approval, but I don't want to overlook it either.
And then it would be like no further subdivision of the property.
Right, yeah, you couldn't, you wouldn't
As
be able to.
carving off the lots for something and later on. Who knows, 50 years from now?
Yeah, never say never.
No, right, well, you have to come back before you guys, and you'll still be here 15 years from now, I'm sure, right?
Oh, I said 50.
Add a few more
I'd not be
duplexes.
here.
I fit one more duplex.
We wish.
I don't know about that.
Well, I have the option. All right, is there any further, do we have any department comments on that?
I don't have, I
There's
wasn't
no,
forwarded
like-
any department comments for.
No, is there anything in that, she usually uploads it to that hierarchy?
There's nothing in our.
Nothing.
Nothing that I saw yesterday, unless it changed today. There's
Did
no.
we have comments from
I can go-
earlier meeting?
I can go back to last month. Hold
Just
on.
want to make sure, we need department comments
Yep.
in order to be able to close
Yep.
this.
Well, we're past the time frame anyway, but yeah. So that would be December. You were here at the December meeting?
Correct, yes.
All right, let me see if we had any comments then. Department comment sheet. Nothing there.
Right, it is 35 days.
All right.
No.
So the only comment I see from engineering from December was, please apply for wastewater permit to account for new sewer usage, wastewater fee schedule, 2,000 for the first unit, 1,000 for each additional unit. Contact DPW engineering to review stormwater permit submittals. And I believe that is all I have. Just check just in case.
Yes, and if stormwater, if it triggers any stormwater plan or O&M or maintenance
So,
like that, that's a standard condition in order.
And our plans have stormwater on that, so we've already designed it
Okay,
for the Fitchburg stormwater regulations.
so when they approve the O&M, that usually that would just making sure that it's
Yep, so
recorded.
we
it's there.
submitted all of that, they usually if they see anything, they would reach out to me. But the next page, the next sheet in that set, we have an underground infiltration system to recharge stormwater into the ground to meet, the city has a 1-inch retention requirement to make sure you have your phosphorus removal. So this was designed with the intent to meet that, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were out there when we did our soil test, the DPW.
Yeah,
was
we
out
did
there.
soil testing, and the DPW came and
Yep.
witnessed that as well, so they've been in the loop on that. But yeah, we'll have to, make sure that they always have us at the end no matter what, because we need the permits from them, so.
Yes, I just mentioned that's a standard, permit
Yeah.
condition to have the O&M recorded and for stormwater and to be maintained,
Oh, okay, as a standard
once
condition.
it's approved by DPW, once you finalize it.
Yep.
Aspect with that. And anything, you had any Concom pieces you had to do, or you're all good? Okay.
Nope.
With that. All right. Any further questions from the board?
I have one
So-
comment, not really a question, but a comment, and this is a personal opinion of mine. I wonder if the vice chair could go back to the picture of the elevation of the front.
All right.
Right there, okay. Yeah, this is only an observation of mine in a personal opinion, and I really appreciate all the improvements you've made since the last time we spoke, both outside and to the building itself. I think they're great with the different use of materials. My only comment is, on the board and batten and on the front of this building, there's a lot of it being covering the second floor and the porch area. From my personal opinion, it might look better if the second floor was horizontal siding like the rest of the building, but keeping the board and batten in the porch area. It just aesthetically might look a little better, but it's not a deal breaker either way.
Okay,
It's
so board
it's
and
funny-
batten,
it's fu-
siding, board and batten?
You mean
Right.
similar to the,
It's funny Peter says that because I wasn't going to nitpick because but no, not that you're nitpicking. It was just I didn't want to feel like I was the one saying it, but
Right.
now that Peter says it, when you look at this example where you had the board and batten and the vinyl siding, I almost thought like if you just carried this motif into
Right.
that, it's not as
Oh,
it's
Hit you in
not
the
as
face.
straight. It's not as
I
straight.
agree. I mean,
Like realistically, if you took this, the main box of this house to the right of the garage, and you just did that, I think that would look nice. So I agree with Peter. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Just a suggestion.
okay.
So if we chose to do that, either way, the way it's shown, or change that second story to
Yep.
go horizontal, the board would be okay either way.
Oh, yeah, either one.
Okay.
I appreciate that,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, that second level there.
Yeah, okay.
It's a lot of straight lines.
Yep.
It's a lot, and it looks good. It's just I agree.
But either way, we're okay. Appreciate the comment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
okay. Is there anything further? No? Okay. Amanda, have any comments?
No.
Good. Alin?
Nope.
No? Okay. Is there enough information in order to close the hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion's been made with a second by Tracy to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say opposed. Roll call vote. Alin?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
All right. Discussion.
I'm good. I think I said what I need to say unless anyone else has anything.
No, I think it's under the category of multifamily in the approving, in the RB. And it was, the total number of units is 10, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit and site plan for Brennan Industries for the 10 overall units located at 7476 Smith Street, 8486 Smith Street, and 0 Gale Street, subject to the following conditions. So, Paul, I'll read what I have, and you can just tell me if you have extra. The subject to the Fitchburg Fire Department to determine if the 20-foot width on Milton Street is adequate or if they require or prefer additional width. Subject to DPW engineering review and approval of stormwater and other necessary requirements. We also have our normal subject to, the necessary department review as it applies to permitting. Draft and record an O&M in the Registry of Deeds. Explore adding some horizontal vinyl to the building elevations. And if some sort of combination plan is required by the city or the assessors, that the applicant provide it. And that's what I got.
Plan. Yep, no further subdivision of the lot.
Mm-hmm.
And just a quick question, your timeline, potentially, for completion?
If I can get building permits, as soon as possible, I'll probably, if I could get them in March, there's no reason why I can't have them filled with people by November, October. We build pretty fast.
A year to start, 2 years to finish, is that okay?
Oh,
What is that?
well, with the new rule.
Oh,
in
that's
place,
right, that's right, the
no,
extension.
Everybody gets 3 years.
Yep.
So for special permits,
All right.
it's automatic 3 years to commence construction.
That was just a
I know,
reflex. I forgot
I
about
know.
that.
If it takes me 3 years, I need to get another job.
Yeah.
We'll have at least completion within 1 year after, no later than.
I'd hope so.
Have that. So if we take a look at that.
So my motion can encompass the comments you had. That's fine.
Okay.
Second?
All right. A motion's been made with a second. Roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say opposed. Alin?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much
guys.
for your
Appreciate
time,
it.
and thank you very much for all the input. Appreciate it.
Thank you. No, I think it was very creative. I think if they all come in the end, it looks really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to start on it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Our second item this evening, AG Dreamflip LLC proposing to build a multifamily development of 7 units on Fairmont Street. There's been a request again for a continuance. I know it was advertised in the paper. Notices are going out to abutters for the February meeting. So there's a request for continuance on the table.
Was
Is anything else different? Liz,
was
let me
this
know.
the one you and I talked about asking if anyone wanted to give comment anyway? I can't remember.
I think so. When we talked last month, yeah.
Yes, if there is anybody here for 0 Fairmont Street,
Is anyone here for 0 Fairmont Street?
No? Okay.
Okay. Guess that's a moot point then.
Is there a motion
Make a motion to continue.
to continue to our February meeting as requested by the applicant?
Yep.
Roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say opposed. Alin?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
All right. Continue. I have a couple of these, so hold on a moment. We also have a special permit and site plan review. Dallas Zabala Alvarez proposing a parking for the renovation of 3-unit dwelling at 376 Clarendon, and then using space at 313 Clarendon. And there's been a recent request for continuance. Was that to our February meeting?
It was actually a message that ended up in the mayor's office. So I just got the message that she's asking for a continuance, but I don't know when.
I can pull it up because Chantel did send me the email today.
Oh, good.
Hold on.
Just wanted to check on that, just to check on the date.
Yep. I want to say that I looked at it and there wasn't a date on it anyway, but let me check. Planning board. No, I read that today. I'm just trying to find the email. Hold on. Maybe I deleted the email.
Was there something in the folder in the document center?
No, that's right. I just looked there, but thank you.
That's why Liz was just verbally telling us.
Somehow I knew, I thought, but
No, yeah.
maybe I got it confused with all the other ones.
I definitely read the back and forth because I saw the bottom email that was, and then Chantel had asked, is it okay to continue, or can you request a continuance? And she said yes, or he said yes. But I can't seem to find the email now. Well, I think in talking to, I think that was, I'm blanking on the engineer that I talked to. Was it Chris? Chris doing that one? So I did talk to him a couple weeks ago about this, and I think the gist was that Hannigan was working on drafting the plans, and my assumption is they just haven't them done yet. So not having it in front of me, I would just suggest we go till April. I think that's probably...
April?
I'm February.
I'm like, well,
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
February. So I would
Yeah,
imagine
we'll
that's
go
more than
February.
adequate. I just
Yeah.
can't find the email off the top of my head.
Okay.
The amount of times we've continued this.
Yeah, right.
I also,
Yeah.
well, this one.
Well, this one's a new one.
This one is fairly, the one
oh, I'm
previous to
sorry.
that.
This is
I'm still
Clarendon.
thinking about Fairmont.
Yeah, yep.
Never mind.
Nope,
Sorry.
no problem.
Nope. So, would anybody like to make a motion to continue this to our February meeting?
Yeah, I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
With a second, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say opposed. Alin?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye?
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
So, then there's another one. We also have special permanent site plan review that was continued from our December meeting. Pristine Choice Realty proposing interior demolition of a 4-unit multifamily and rehabilitate and reinstate the building as a 3-unit with parking at 147 Daniels. Has also requested continuance, I believe, to February.
Oh, maybe, I think that's the email I was thinking of, Daniels, now that you say that.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll make a motion to continue
And
February.
that's also in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Before you take that vote, did you want to see if anyone's here for Daniels? Because that one we've opened already.
It is opened.
Is anyone
Is there anyone
here
here
for
for
Daniels
Daniels,
Street?
147 Daniels Street? Either online or,
Perfect.
no, okay.
Second that motion?
A motion, I mean, the second? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say oppose. Alin?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye?
Paul?
Aye.
Paula, aye. Tracy?
Aye.
All right, 147 Daniels. Which brings us to our special permit and site plan review for applicant Ed McSweeney of Townsend Street Realty Trust, proposing a planned unit development of 8 units located on Townsend Street in the RA district. That was the original petition. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Okay. And Wes, you want me to?
Yeah, if you don't mind pulling up the
particular
PDFs. I think it's sheet 3. I'm going to double check that.
Okay. Yep, sheet three looks like it has the topos. Sheet 2 is just a layout materials.
But either one, we kind of go back and forth, because sheet 3 shows
Zoom
the
in as
drainage
close as
on
I
it.
can to,
Yeah.
so people can see it.
All right. So the history here, this was a rear lot that was approved. This parcel?
What's this parcel? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been vacant for,
No, but it's a rear lot. This is why it doesn't have the 100 feet frontage. I'm just saying the history-wise,
Yes.
this is a rear lot.
Yes,
So it's got
yes.
to reduce frontage for
Yes.
trying to give
Yep.
background.
when all the A&R lots were done, this is what, back in the mid-90s, right? That the
Mm-hmm.
A&R lots were done out there. I think that was what Brian Carlson, I think, did some of those lots out there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can start the presentation, and then we can.
Yes.
Right, so Wesley Fliss McCarty Engineering, with me this evening is the applicant, which is Townsend Street Realty Trust, which is Ed McSweeney. The property that we're in front of you for is a almost 8-acre parcel. The parcel sits between 576 Townsend Street and 598 Townsend Street, 576 being to the left of the property and 598 being to the right of it. The property is located in the RA zoning district. The RA zoning district allows for lots to be 12,500 square feet. The proposal in front of you this evening is for special permit and site plan review for plan unit development. The initial submittal that was in front of you, actually, and the way the posting reads, was for 8 units, was 4 duplexes. The plan that you see up on the screen has been changed.
I just changed it, sorry.
No, and that's fine. So the proposal in front of you now is for 4 houses. Each house will have a 2-car garage. The access into the development will be off a 22-foot wide paved driveway. Up into the site is about 175 feet, and then the driveway going west to east was about 190 feet. There are 2 parking spaces in front of each unit, and we also show 6 visitor parking spaces in the parallel spaces along the, I guess, southeasterly side of the project. The property now, at least the front stem part of it, is mostly grass, and the rear of the site is wooded, as you see there in the aerial imagery. There is a system of wetlands that kind of snakes through the middle of the site, and the intent of the development is to stay as away from that wetland and not to cross that wetland to get to the back of the property. As I stated, the property is about 8 acres. As we file with the planning board, we also file with the Conservation Commission. Obviously, knowing that the Conservation Commission, getting the wetlands delineation settled and getting them on board with the work proposed was really I guess a bigger item first before we kind of get back in front of the planning board. The Conservation Commission did hire a peer reviewer to peer review the wetlands. The wetlands have changed, and also as part of those changes, originally we did show still the duplexes. As we continue to move along in the process of the plans, talking with the applicant and the commission, and then getting feedback, obviously, from even this board, we felt it was best to do 4 single-family houses on this property. And by doing the 4 single houses instead of the 4 duplexes, it definitely reduced the amount of disturbance on this property. The intent is to tie into the city sewer and water out in Townsend Street. The drainage will be handled by an underground infiltration basin near the intersection of Townsend Street and the driveway. That will handle the driveway that leads up into the site. There are 2 proposed underground dry wells for the 2 houses on the left-hand side. And then there's a infiltration basin in the northeast corner that will handle the remainder of the driveway in the 2 right-hand side houses. Those have been designed in accordance with the city's stormwater regulations, but also in accordance with the state DEP stormwater requirements also, because we are within 100 feet of the wetlands. As I stated, we did file with the Conservation Commission because we are within 100 feet of those wetlands. We are not proposing any filling of the wetlands. The intent here is, by using the PUD special permit process, is to limit the amount of disturbance on the property. Like I said, the property is about 8 acres. The proposal takes up about 2 acres instead of those 8 acres, leaving the remainder of the 6 acres in its natural state. We show erosion control barriers throughout the site to protect the abutting properties and the wetlands. We do show some landscaping along the parallel spaces north of the abutting properties on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, instead of showing landscaping, we do show a 6-foot-high vinyl privacy fence behind 576 Townsend Street. Again, like I said, the project, what we tried doing is proposing this to minimize the disturbance of the land, limit the work area to 2 acres, and tried staying within the intent of your POD bylaw within the section and within your zoning bylaws. At this point, I guess I can take any questions and answer any questions that the board may have.
I didn't see any dimensions on the setbacks. It just says setbacks. So
Yeah, and so on sheet 2 of the plan set, we show the zoning table, and so we show the lot area, frontage, side yard, front yard, rear yard, and max height requirements. There's a table there. And so the frontage, obviously, as you stated, the frontage of the property is 75 feet. The area is 7.89 acres. The side yard, closest side yard offset we have is the leftmost house, which is at 17 feet to the side yard. The front yard offset, which would be that same house, would be 137 feet to the edge of town, or the right-of-way of Townsend Street. And then the rear yard offset,
17.
small text here, right, is almost 87 feet to the rear yard offset.
15 required, 17 provided. That's what it says.
17 provided towards which facility?
So toward 857,
Okay,
sorry,
so I wanna- I just
576 was what your left.
That must be this left-hand side?
Correct, it's that one right there, it's 17.
So I want to
17
explain
feet.
something to you.
Yes.
Because this is an A&R lot, so the frontage that's required for the district, it starts after the pipe stem. This is a pipe stem. So after that is your 100 feet. So your frontage starts after that. So you need to be 30 feet back to start your line.
So from under your PUD development, I apologize, it no longer becomes a stem lot, it becomes a PUD special permit. And so if we are one house, yes, I would agree with you that it's a
still a rear lot,
it's a
right?
rear lot.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's a PUD, it's a special permit. So you have different requirements under your PUD requirement.
We can,
Well,
but
for
I
the
guess
sake of
I'd be
argument,
looking about push it back 30
I
more
was going to say,
feet.
it seems like an easy fix. You move that house on the left-hand side further back, because you're outside of the buffer by, it looks like it's got to be at least 30 or 40 feet.
It would, by pushing it back, it comes a little busier with the turnaround that we have there. So we have the emergency access turnaround that you see there, that kind of funny-looking stem, similar to the previous project that you guys had looked at, right? It's becoming standard with these developments to have that. And so by pushing it back, yes, we would.
I guess in this case, we want to be very sensitive to neighbors because this is not a by right type of development where you could put one single-family home on here by right. So you're looking for a PUD about why this deviates or why should this be allowed? Why is it something special that would deviate from the current district?
Yeah, and so, and I understand.
That that's put out there. Is like,
but I understand your argument. So the one thing that I would like to rebut with is we looked at this 2 different ways. We looked at this with the standard subdivision to bring in a road off of Townsend Street and then to develop more of the property, to have 2 wetland crossings and get into the back property and create more lots.
The house would be further distant from this property line.
It would still be 15 feet because that would be a side yard at that point. We would create frontage where the driveway is. And I'm just telling you why we placed the house where it is. We thought the house would be there in this development or under our standard subdivision development.
True.
Now,
Ethiopia Street did do that. They created a subdivision to create frontage to create single-family homes, yes.
So if we were to push this back, the only concern I would have is that we create grading closer to the wetlands. And we're trying to, by changing the duplexes to single-family houses, we're trying to be more sensitive to the wetlands.
We could also eliminate a house, too. I'll just say this as an alternative. There's alternatives.
So we can take a look at it, and we'd bring it back to the Conservation Commission and show the grading closer to the wetlands, if you want the 30 feet there. And that's.
Have they done, do you still have meetings with them? Have they done?
No, the meetings are still open, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And they wanted us to come in front of the planning board to have conversations and make sure everybody was on the same page with regards to the latest layout. Like I said, they've had a lot more say in this process than obviously the planning board has. Like I said, the latest iteration was to come to the single-family house iteration and see what the planning board thought about. You know, in our opinion, was that single-family house obviously sits better with the neighborhood. Everything's single-family houses out here. Everything surrounding here is single-family houses. You know, duplexes would be something different out here. So that's why, you know, thinking that this would be a better suit to the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to your colleague, a multifamily development there, but even condos was going to be a very tough sell. So I think that this was the natural evolution of this project.
Yep.
And I don't disagree with what Paula said. I mean, we're creating a PUD that by code you need to show why it's okay to deviate, and there is no real answer other than we want to get more units in there.
But we're not looking to deviate to get more units. Again, we're trying to not do a standard subdivision. We're trying to do a PUD, lessen the impact to the property and to the entire piece of property, right? We're looking to develop a quarter of the property and get 4 houses out of here where your underlying zoning is 12,500 square feet. It's a quarter acre, right?
You guys do calculations, and I don't know if it's necessary when it's not part of the approval, but did you do an upland calculation of how much this lot is upland area?
Upland, it's the wetlands, and it doesn't show on this plan, I can send it to you. The rest of the wetlands that kind of snakes to the north of the property is a very thin section of wetlands, so it doesn't take up a large area. It's a very thin, it's almost like a drainage channel, where it's not necessarily a wide wetland up top. So to cross the 2 wetlands would still be under 5,000 square feet to cross the 2 wetlands and to get up into the 8 acres of upland, right? Whereas really, so I'm not even sure this wetland maybe takes up an acre. And I can get you that answer.
No. I was just curious if you know, I'm looking at the of course I can pull it up, our GIS that I'm looking at, which has a rough area of wetlands on the GIS, which will come up here, which is here, but it's
and that's where I know. The GIS isn't 100% accurate because the wetland there is really more consistent with what the wetland was delineated. It's a little lower on the site and a little.
That's fine. It's irrelevant. I was just curious if
yeah. So there's actually it's real. It snakes back up and around, and so there's some upland in between. It kind of shows on the top part of our plan, and then there's another section of wetlands into you see where that wetland is now. That's kind of where the real thin finger of wetlands is. And then the whole rest of that top part of that property is all upland. And so that's why we're looking to kind of stay out of that. But if I could, to the chairperson's comment, we can look at that. I think we do have, just looking at the grading, we'll move the house 30 feet away. Again, I was just trying to explain to you why we placed the house there. So we'll move it 30 feet away from that property line.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Paula. If you start where kind of that envelope would be, and you go 15 feet from there.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to push, and we'll just.
If you're talking 15 more feet.
No, we have to extend the retaining wall there a little bit more. And so we had some retaining walls there before. I know it was something that we went back and forth with the commission about, and we were trying to eliminate retaining walls and eliminate some grading close to the wetlands. And so if we have to put a retaining wall in there to make that work, we can make that work.
So the objectives of the PUD, let me read them. This is for everybody's benefit too, because this is why it's different than saying I just want to put a multifamily on scenario. It's to free the development process from the constraints of conventional lot lines and inflexible zoning standards based upon lot-by-lot development. It encourages flexibility and creativity in the design of development through a carefully controlled review process of particular plans rather than a strict regulation of all plans within a zone. It encourages innovation in commercial and residential development so that the growing demand for more and varied housing may be met by greater variety and type and design of living units. It encourages a less sprawling form of community development, which makes more efficient use of land, requires shorter networks of streets and utilities, and which fosters more economical development and less consumption of developable land. Permanently preserve existing natural topography and wooded areas within developed areas and to provide usable open space and recreation facilities in close proximity to homes. Provide an efficient procedure for which will ensure appropriate high-quality design and site planning and a high level of environmental amenity. and provide an opportunity for streamlining the redevelopment process in declining urban areas. So the planning board must find that the proposed PUD is in harmony with the purpose and intent of the chapter, with the stated objectives, and that it will promote the purpose of this section, that the mixture of uses in the PUD is determined to be sufficiently advantageous to render it appropriate to depart from the normal requirements of the district, and the PUD will not result in significant negative environmental impact, and it will add to the long-term asset of the community, and that it will not erode the value of its existing and neighboring areas. So I just wanted to read that for everybody's benefit about a PUD, and this is the criteria, and this is the thresholds that we have to look at achieving for that. So this will be looking at the project. That. So it is a special permit, so it's discretionary. Right now, it is, if I don't have this correct, it is a rear lot. It is, right now, you can do at least, it is a buildable lot at this point in time. So it's just what you want to build on the lot. That's what we're here this evening.
But that's why I wanted to make the point that I understand it's a rear lot, but under your PUD, you allow flexibility, which you just read about right there. And then, like I said, we also have the ability to do a standard subdivision if we wanted to on this, but we don't want to. That's not the intent. That's the intent of bringing the PUD in front of us. And that's why we're only at 4 lots, right? If we did a standard subdivision, it'd be more lots, right? It's quarter-acre zoning. It's not large lots that are allowed out here, so. And so, again, we can
just want
provide.
to make sure that you're justifying it. We want you to demonstrate that.
Yeah, and so in our cover letter to the board, we did go over those
special permit criteria. So
special permit criteria, and I can, if you want to, we can go right down the list now if you want to.
I just wanted to make sure we went through these aspects as well. So this is like meeting special permit, and then we're meeting this.
Yep.
And I know you're, trying all the intents to.
And we'd be happy to go down the list now if you would like to, or if you want to move on to other questions.
We'll move on to other questions first, and then we're going to also take the public feedback on this too. Do we have board questions at this time?
So I did have, obviously you guys saw with the last project that we had quite a bit back and forth about elevation designs and not having boxes and not having, normal square houses. So do you have elevations? Do we have examples?
We, Ed McSweeney, the owner of the land, we have not put a lot of time into it. This is more or less our first formal coming in front of the planning board.
Okay.
So we kind of wanted to give you a couple other things that I think Wes done a great job articulating. When we looked at it, and I got some feedback from the abutters and so forth like that, so a couple of things. One, the boxes that we had, square footage for the housing of the duplex were like 60 feet wide. We're now going to be down to 38, 40, so we've shrunk that quite a bit. A lot of the feedback, too, is that they will be, because of the elevations and so forth, 2-story homes, because we're targeting more smaller families, i.e., I'm old, so I can say it, towards the older people like myself and everything with the stairs, because the input from the realtors in the area is basically, it's close to the fields, it's close to John Fitch Highway, it's got low crime, it'll be a great place that an awful lot of older people will be interested in coming there. And that's why we were going for the townhouses and so forth, but then I got pushed back, rightfully so, for the neighborhood and so forth. So that's when I went to McCarthy and said, hey, I'd like to make it 4 homes. I mean, I build in other towns. We're all well aware of the MBTA. Fitchburg, for example, has been assigned. They're going to figure out how to come up with 2,618 units and so forth like that. And I just said, no, we'll back off and try to do 4 homes and do them correctly. As far
This is
as
way outside of the MBTA zone, just so you know, but that's beside the
there's
point.
also in that bylaw, in a lot of towns now, they're pushing it right now in Melrose and several. There's a district inside of for the rail system is. There's also a percentage.
No, there's not. We've spent a significant amount of time on this. So it's 2 different things, but that's okay. It's MBTA communities is within
But again,
proximity to the
we
rail.
don't want to go down that route. And so,
Yeah, I mean,
on
it's
the house design, I need a little more time to come back. I definitely listened to the gentleman ahead of us. We'll come back with hopefully something that will appease you.
Nice.
And
That's great.
We'll hear from some neighbors to see what other feedback is here.
I'm sorry.
We're going to hear from some neighbors, I think, to get some additional feedback.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's great.
That's to be expected.
It's certainly fine if you need time to draft those things. The board's going to want to see kind of what they look like. And I've seen a lot of what you built. I know you built the ones on that were the frontage lots on here too. So, those lots, I think at the time when we had a lot more, at the time, they were slightly higher quality than some of the other stuff we've seen. I just think we're trying to take another step when we're doing these projects to make sure that what is ultimately built is of generally good quality and good exterior appeal to make these projects, look
Like
good
the
for
other
the city.
gentleman I know, like with, for example, the accent of the black and so forth. We have homes now in Westminster that are at a much higher price point, and we're accenting them with the black. And we're all going through the
I'm
same.
not crazy about the whole white and black thing, but that was Ian was pushing
that
it.
seems
but-
to be the trend for younger people these days.
Yep.
That's what they're looking.
Yep.
So these are tended to be sold as single-family homes in a HOA?
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
So our attorney will be filing like for the common. So as part of the deed, there'll be the driveway, the upkeep, and so forth like that. So
Yep.
he's familiar with filing like
Three-bedroom,
3-bedroom.
two-story,
Correct.
so no single ranch, single-level living?
And on a ranch, it's going to be more of a split, but part of it too is after this meeting, and thanks to McCarthy Engineering, it's now looking at, because of the topography and the amount of fill and so forth, then we'll get down to the nitty-gritty of figuring what house accommodates what we have to do for the fill and for the parking and everything to make sure that aesthetically it looks good.
Yep.
So we need some more time to figure that out before we come back.
Perfect.
And we're going to take some public comments. If there's anybody here this evening for the 0 Townsend Street, please, if you could come to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
We do have a hand raised after this, just so you know, in virtual. You're fine.
If there's anything you want us to look at or bring up, we can see.
No, I just got comments. I understand what's going on. My name's Ron Cody, 620 Townsend Street. Questions I had for the first meeting I was here is the Aphrodite line on the right side where my property is. It stops midway through my neighbor's property and goes nothing along my side, does not block anything. Is there a reason for that?
You saying, is it behind the proposed
On the right
stormwater
side
management
of the
area,
last
the
house
triangle?
now.
So this is your property up here, where my cursor is. It is, because I'm looking at GIS, so,
Okay,
yep.
yes.
So you're at this top corner here, so you're talking about this line right here, the property
Right
line?
there.
Okay.
Is it wooded now?
It's like it's being
It
stripped.
is wooded. Some of it's going to stay, actually.
I'm sorry, you're speaking that way.
I'm sorry.
So some of it's going to stay, actually, now. We're under the latest edition of the plan. We were able to keep some of the growth there, so.
All right, fine. But
So before you move forward, just because I want to make sure we clear this up for you.
Yeah.
When you come back, Wes, do you think you just, actually, I think I see it here.
It does show a tree line on
Yeah,
that.
it shows the tree line
And
kind of on the
I think that tree line's actually a little better now under the, so I think that was the old tree line. I know the grading actually got better in the back of that property. So because when we changed the.
I'm sorry. I'm
Bring up the
looking at something. It's my biggest pet peeve. Looking at something and, sorry. All right, so this kind of line on the corner here that you see.
So if you look at sheet.
That's that straight line going straight out back.
If you look at sheet 3, actually, it shows the grading on there. And so when we changed the size of the units,
Yeah.
because they are deeper, the grading actually kicked out more. Now that we pulled the units closer, the grading in the back got better, and so won't the amount of clearing have to be in the back of those units.
So the setback, which would be that right house, is the rear side. That's the 30-foot line distance. Is that correct? Is that what I'm reading now?
No, it's more than 30 feet.
Is it? Oh, that's one question. I just.
No.
So, because this is going to come back, can I suggest something, Wes?
Sure, go ahead.
Can you do a new sheet and color the buffer, what you're going to leave as the vegetative buffer, so that and maybe give a distance so that the neighbors can see how much of that tree is going to stay. That'd probably be helpful to you if you see it. Yeah.
Just want to,
I hear you.
I agree, it's a great project, but I don't want to be looking at it.
I get you.
The building's actually probably about 60, 65 feet to the
From that
deck,
line going-
to the deck, to the property line itself.
Okay, so it looks like it moved further inwards.
Correct. So they were, the condos were right there, duplexes, they were deeper units. And so by making them a single family and
So basically, if you did that, so the way you had that Happy line is probably the back of the building line. Is what
yes.
you're looking at,
Yes,
basically.
exactly. Yes, on that other plan, it's going to be exactly lines up to the back. Yes.
Happy line is the back of the building line.
Pretty close to it.
I mean,
Yep.
whatever, okay.
Yep.
Other than that, it could be also adding arborvitae's along that.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that we get the information that you need for
that's
the next meeting, because they're going to be coming back. So maybe we'll have them show the buffers, a colorized buffer.
That's my legitimate biggest concern.
Okay. Understandable.
I mean, it's,
How's the elevation there from what you see? Because it's hard to tell from the plan. Like, would you be looking down, like, down or up, or?
So it's
We're going to look down on them a little bit.
mostly flat.
that property looked down on my house.
Yes.
I was going to say, it looks like it goes from Townsend Street to the back of the lot, down about 5 feet to 8 feet from the front to the back of the lot. But
It's from my line to that property, I'd say it's, if I was going to take a wild guess, a 20-foot drop.
Can you ensure that you're actually keeping a tree line on your property, so the tree line isn't just on?
Nope, and that's actually just, I made a comment on the plan that I have in front
And
of me.
that would be also,
Part of what Paul was asking, I'm going to update that, because.
yeah, a
Yep.
little further in, so that in the future, too, it's part of the HOA, it would not be removed.
And the line from, call it left, the right building, left side building, coming down into my neighbor's property line, what's that distance going to be? From there down to the property line right below it?
are you talking about from the edge of the building to the property line?
Yeah.
Because we're
I mean, how
talking,
much of the bush are we getting, how much of the tree line are we getting rid of out of that spot?
So all that's coming, all the growth out of that's coming out of. There is earthwork being done there. So the darker dash line that's shown on the plan is proposed grading. So the growth between that house and the property line will be removed. There's a retaining wall proposed there. And that's why we were showing that landscaping along that retaining wall. Is because it's going to have to be.
So my neighbor's line is pretty much his backyard.
So the property line will be, on the other side of the property line will be a new retaining wall, is what's going to happen there.
where's the retaining wall?
The real dark
Right here,
line there?
Okay.
This line right here.
That's the real, is that the,
That's going to be a retaining wall right on the other side of the property.
How high?
So it goes from, at the end of it's like 1 foot high, right? But it goes, the highest point, we got 6 feet, 5 feet in the middle, and then it tapers down. It stays for about 65 feet throughout the back there, and then it tapers back down to, 1 foot high when we get to the end of it.
I guess we'd also want to know what proposed material that would be.
So it's just a block wall.
Yeah, we'd like to see the material for that, and I'm sure the neighbors would as well.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the DPW is going to require engineering anyway for the wall, so.
Right, but if it's going to be, instead of even a fence, somebody's backyard, we want to...
No, I know, I'm saying, they're going to require the engineering,
Yes.
so they're going to need to do it either way, is what I was saying. So,
And then checking whatever that setback is from the property line.
just so I have clear mind, from that right unit down to the property line to my neighbors, you're going to bushwhack everything.
Yeah, everything's out of, yes,
So
everything's.
I'm going to have that, so from my line to that way is 65 of wood. Now, when you come down straight, are you going to bushwhack to my line, say, or are you just going straight down?
So at the
back of the
next,
building.
so what was one of the things that the vice chair asked for is that we're going to show you a little clearer picture at the
Yeah.
next meeting.
All right.
On where that line will be and how much growth will be left.
All right, now, it's,
especially, Wes, if you can show that corner boundary,
Yeah.
because it gets cut off on the.
Yeah. No, and that's what we'll show a little better
Perfect.
pictorial.
And then give a distance of
Yeah.
untouched
that was my
area.
question.
Yeah, we'll go throw some dimensions on that plan, so just so we're a little more clear on what's being left there.
Yep.
But I do know from, that right-hand side house down to the abutting properties to the south, that is going to be cleared of the growth, the current growth now.
Yeah.
And that's why we proposed those new trees there.
they put the Aphrodite line,
Correct.
so that's why it's starting particularly there.
Correct. It was I was trying to go to the point that it was really going to be cleared, yeah.
And with any luck, the natural's going to stay on towards the backside of it.
More toward your property, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And like I said, because the change in building size, the amount of
everything is-
disturbance on your side became a lot less.
Yeah, good.
Which, right, it definitely benefits, you as being the abutter there, right?
So Wes, help me understand. So obviously, I know the lots that were developed by Ed back on the frontage there to the left of his, the two lots there. I know it's all grass, like there's no trees in the back of those lots, more or less. But I'm looking at the topos, and it looks like it goes. Does it go up to the site? I'm trying to picture it from
from Townsend Street, it keeps climbing. I mean,
so it goes 485 to 491. So it goes up 6 feet from the property line to kind of where you flatten out where the street is.
So the right-hand side of those lots and the right-hand side of this property is a lot more gentle than where the entrance is. Obviously, the problem, we're trying to create a driveway that is not steeper than 10%, right? So that's kind of what we're stuck at. And so to get up to a grade that works and then to kind of match what we have for the abutting properties, that's the reason for the retaining wall, and that's why we have that 5-foot difference in there. It's just really the left-hand side of the property, and that stem really dictates what's going on the right-hand side, because now we can't really drop that much on the right-hand side as we're into the property. So
the purpose of my question is because of that elevation change, and I don't know if either of those two property owners have any interest in talking, but if they do, if they have any desire for, aside from the arborvitaes, of, you're going to need fencing on top of that.
Correct.
To begin with. Yep. If we can do decorative fencing on top of that to separate the property lines, we don't usually do decorative fencing on top of.
Yeah, there's some kind of fall protection has to be placed on top of that wall. You know that because we're higher than 30 inches. But
well, I was thinking.
Well, I'm not sure whether. I guess it's something to look into, because it could be just really filled with landscaping as well instead of a fence, potentially.
Well, so there has to be some kind of fall protection has to be on top of that.
Well, I know that. What I was trying to say is
that was the thought, is to have
depends how
and then some growth behind it.
Yeah,
and that's why we were showing all that the dense growth behind it, not to make the fence stand out, more of a softer. That's really as little as much, as the fall protection is as little as we can.
Right.
To meet the requirement, but then to have the landscaping be the buffer, right? Because you're already having the wall there as a hard structure or hard view, and we'd rather soften the top of it with the landscaping.
I would just say explore that, whether or not the hard, in case if the parking is not so many distance from it, if you have such a expansive landscaping between the retaining wall and where the pavement. I'm not sure, again, of the contours, so I'm not sure if it's going like this or if it's going
so it's the contours are dropping down to, so the retaining wall is, like I said, about 5 to 6 feet for good length, pretty basically from the corner of.
Then is it going up towards the houses?
And then everything's still climbing. So everything that development sits up from Townsend Street. I mean, the good example is if you go to McIntosh Lane, right, and you go into that subdivision, how that you climb into that subdivision, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing that's going to be here, just in a very smaller version of that, right? But similar setup where you have to climb into the development.
Yeah,
Think about that.
If I'd be interested if either of those two abutters have a preference, because I think our board generally has relied on their preference when it comes to what they want, as a buffer there. But
and I know offline, I know one of my colleagues has had some conversations with a couple of the abutters, and so that's why I know the fence on the left-hand side came about.
Okay,
it wasn't. It wasn't just taken
wall.
from any. There was some conversation offline, and that's why we're proposing the fence on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Because we do know that some of the butters outside of the office, so they had some conversation offline, right, to have that.
Brian, do you have any?
Yeah, Ron, I didn't. Sorry, I got you off topic there.
I mean, sorry, Ron. Do you have any further questions?
My only other question is, you're planning the Aphrodite. Which side of the wall are you putting them?
So we've done it both ways. This time we're putting it on the top of the wall, such that they're closer to the houses, so when they grow, they really screen the top of it. We've done it the other way, where we put them on the bottom side of the wall, but the problem is that it takes so long for them to get tall enough to create a screen. So
I think you want them on top of the wall.
I wouldn't want to look at a piece of concrete myself in my backyard.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
I wouldn't want a concrete wall and looking at it.
That's why it's looking at what is the blocks that are being proposed.
I'm sorry.
That's why we're asking about what the material is going to be made of for the,
Sorry.
we're looking at the material for the wall as well.
Well, what you gonna, what are you putting on the wall?
Yep.
Is
What
it
we asked.
rocks or, I mean?
Yeah, we're
stone things?
asking about that because it should be nice.
I mean, yeah, is it, I would assume, I would hope, if not just concrete, you put a rock fascia on it.
Right.
Fine, I think most of the neighbors will agree with that. But if not, a row of low bush on the front side and high bush on the back side. Just a suggestion.
I think the only problem they're going to run into with that is there's no room between the property line and the base of that retaining wall to put anything, unless they put it on the neighbor's property.
Well, and that's what I was going to bring up. There has been an issue in the past where, as much as everybody likes to play nice, when it comes time to put the trees in, sometimes neighbors aren't so easy about letting the developer to come on their property to plant stuff, and that's why we kind of always propose stuff on under the control of the developer. And if it comes back later that
We will ask.
the same amount of trees go on that side of the wall, then
We'll
We'll put a pin in it and we'll see if the neighbors have any comments.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Would you like to hear for 0 Townsend Street?
I have someone virtual. I have 2 people virtual.
Okay.
If someone,
Okay.
yeah?
Do first? All right.
All right. Justine, I believe, you can speak. Just hit the microphone button. It looks like your microphone's unmuted, but I don't hear anything from you. You might have to try, make sure you have a microphone plugged in, or your computer has access to the microphone volume maybe. But it definitely looks like you're unmuted, but there's no audio coming over. Justine, we'll get back to you. I'll try you again. I'm going to just lower your hand. Raise your hand again if you think you have it, and we'll get back to you. And if not, maybe try and log out and log back in. I don't know. But Stephen, if you'd like to, you're welcome to speak.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so the last time I attended this meeting, last year, of course, there was a pending issue on the percentage of wetland that this project would consume. I'm not sure whether that was resolved or not. If it were, can somebody just kind of fill me in, please?
What was the question? This is
It was
for
about the wetlands.
oh,
The wetlands, yeah, because
okay.
So the Conservation Commission is handling the wetland issue. That's not part of our board's purview, but I believe they're in front of them again next month, February?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so if it's a wetland question, you might want to hold that until the Conservation Commission meeting, which is in February.
Is that next week?
Okay,
February is in like 3 days.
yeah, because I think when I joined this meeting,
It probably is. Let me check.
Is it usually first Wednesday or something?
But Stephen, if you have other questions about the project, we can ask the developer.
that's the only one I have for now. Thanks.
Okay.
Well,
The Conservation Commission meeting, according to their schedule, is February 5th.
yeah, may I talk?
Sure.
I'm not sure if we're on for that because we were waiting for the third-party engineer was reviewing some stuff, so I'm not sure if it's going to be back in
Okay.
time for that one.
So Stephen, my suggestion would be if that question is of particular interest to you, to tune in to the conservation meeting February 5th, or send an email to Herlyn, Jamie, in the Community Development Office, and she can help you with that.
Yeah, I'm asking it because it's in this meeting that it was discussed, and they talked about 20% from what I heard that the developer was talking about. We toyed with some percentages here and there, and it wasn't conclusive. That's why I'm bringing it up here again.
What percentage are you talking about?
Well, I believe when the last time this topic came in before this planning board, the developer was saying that he is planning to use, I think, 20% of the wetland for this project. and it wasn't conclusive. That's why I'm bringing it up again. But if you are saying that the issue of the wetland will be handled by a different commission, that's fine. But at least at the end of the day, the result of that commission it would have to be brought here, right? Isn't it, for us to know?
So,
right?
so let me try and answer that as best I can, and Wes, you can help me. Correct me if I'm wrong. No part of this project is within the wetland.
So we are not filling any wetlands on this project.
So there is no wetland fill, and the project is not within the wetlands.
Correct. And that was the biggest reason why we wanted to go to this, the PUD development, was to kind of, minimize any crossings, and even minimize as much disturbance as we could, within the 20 feet and the 25-foot and 100-foot buffers.
All right. Because the wetland is behind my house. That's what I'm talking about.
The project, though I don't have a distance, I'm looking at your house from GIS. The project is a significant distance from your house.
What's his property?
He is the first house on the right on McIntosh.
Oh, okay.
I am 3 McIntosh Lane. I'm 3 McIntosh Lane, 3.
So when you get to the end of the cul-de-sac, it's just diagonal to the right.
Yeah, and I remember there was, the finger of wetlands, right,
You bring up the...
Actually,
Actually, I think...
Again, I'm looking at it, but no one else is. Sorry, guys.
I think the other finger of wetlands does come up.
So, yeah, so this is the property we're talking about.
So that's the other finger of wetlands. Remember how I told you it snakes back around?
Yep.
And so it snakes back around closer to his property. We are nowhere near that. Okay. We're staying away from that finger of wetlands.
So,
that's closer to his property.
Stephen, just so you know, the project area we're talking about is down in here.
Okay.
And you're way up here.
All right, because I saw that yellow demarcation, I thought that's where it has to do with the whole project. What is the yellow line then, if I may ask?
I didn't hear you.
That yellow line that we are looking at right here, what is it?
What diagonal line?
What's the yellow line?
The yellow line is the outline of this project site.
The entire property.
Okay.
So this is the whole lot, but the lot development is down on the Townsend Street side.
Okay. All right. All right. So Margaret and okay. But anyway, I'm still interested to know what percentage. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. And I know we have...
Let me try and go back. Justine, do you want to try again? You're still listed as unmuted, but I don't hear you.
Then try your settings.
The other thing we can try is there still a call-in link? Do we have those? No, we don't have those.
Can she type a message in?
What's that?
Can she type in the message?
So there is...
Yes, Ron, do you have another question?
You may have answered it, but you were speaking that way.
Sorry.
Yep.
Why aren't you going left?
Why are we going left? So there's there's a system of wetlands that wraps around through the site.
Yeah.
And we were trying to stay away from crossing the wetlands and then getting to the other side of the wetlands. And so that's why we were staying from the wetlands towards Townsend Street.
To this point, we're looking at where the water's naturally coming off the hill, to the left side.
Yeah, the problem is the soil's up there, great for an apple farm.
Yes, it was.
Real good for an apple farm, but bad for drainage, right?
Yeah.
And so even the wetlands is kind of where they're located doesn't necessarily follow even a stream necessarily in some of it. Yeah. It's just because of the type of soils up there in the amount of groundwater.
It's the better spot of the two spots to the right.
From a standpoint of dryness, yes.
Come to the podium.
Yep.
Oh, hold on. You can go. You can go. Hold on, Justine. We'll get. I appreciate you got it there, but we just had someone stand up. Yep. I'll get to you in 1 second.
Hi.
Yes.
Good evening.
Hi, my name's Peggy Blanchard, and I live at 583 Townsend Street. So I will be looking at this out my...
So you're across the street?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
My driveway is pretty close to what is now their road. So I will be... I'll see a lot of things going on. I'm wondering, what am I exactly going to see? Because right now, I see the beautiful houses. I have behind them, I see the trees, nice trees, birds. There's a hawk that's there very often. Just beautiful to look at. And I had talked with Mr. Sweeney because I had seen people coming and going on this property, and I got curious. And I went over and I said, may I ask what is going on? And I heard about the development. I understand things change and there's progress. It's just been a very nice place to settle into. It's just enough out of the city. You don't feel like you're in the city. It feels very country, peaceful, safe, quiet. The road is very busy in the morning and after work hours. In between, it's very tranquil. So this is going to change a few things. So my question would be, when I'm looking out my driveway, my windows, what am I looking at? Am I looking at a housing project? Are these trees gone? What exactly is the view now possible?
Well, that's the question, because I'm also curious about the driveway, because it looks like some steep grades on the right-hand side. I don't know what that's going to look like, or the slope.
Yeah, so the driveway is, like I said, at the steepest point, we're looking at 10% driveway as you get into the site, but the trees within the, I don't know, acre and a half behind, a lot of those trees will be removed as part of this project. The intent is, we were talking about the retaining wall behind the two frontage properties on the right-hand side of the development, and on top of that, to put some arborvitaes on top of that to create a screen to show from the new 4 houses, or at least the 3 houses on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, there will be that one house on the left-hand side that we're talking about, pushing that back another 15 feet. But when we spoke with the abutter on that left-hand side, they'd rather see a fence than, at least right now, a fence than landscaping. If that changes, we can propose landscaping instead of a fence there on the left-hand side.
This is the direct frontage look, right? This is what the assessor has for the, basically there's a road that's going to come in here, it's a glorified driveway. It's
22 feet wide. So the driveways, a lot of the standard driveways now are about the similar width, so it's going to look a nicer driveway because it's going to be brand new, but then it will bring you to 4 houses in the rear. So you're going to see 4 houses in the rear of that property.
Maybe you can add a little, I see some stone there, whether or not you add a little curbing of some, just some roundings or something to the end of the driveway. Yeah, kind of like thing, just a little accent or something like that. Other than it's like you're just driving past the driveway. So it's either so the question is either accented or still just make it look like a driveway.
And I think from the street, looking at your thing, correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, from the street, especially from her angle, you're going to see the driveway, and from your house, you're going to see the left-hand house, because that's your diagonal right, so that's the diagonal view. But I don't think you're necessarily going to see the houses to the rear if we're only talking about, from the street, what's the elevation change from the street to your property? Do you have that?
From the street to the top of the wall, 7 feet. 7 to 8 feet, depending on where you are.
And then it's flat after the top of the wall, more or less?
No, it's going to climb some more into the site. It's going to climb another 4 or 5 feet, depending on where you are.
We're talking 11
to 12 feet, depending on where you are on the site. That's going to set up. It almost sets up 1 story. So if you're and that's really why we thought the arborvitae on top of the wall too, right? If you're in your 2nd story of your house, the arborvitae, when they get planted originally, they'll be, if they put them down low, it's not going to block your view as much. But if you put them up on top of that wall and you're in your 2nd story of your house, it's going to create a better screen. That was the intent. Like I said, we had our landscape architect in our office take a look at, and that's what he came up with for landscaping on that. And then
maybe also consider some landscaping along the sides of the driveway.
So the left-hand side might be a little easier. The right, as we get up into the site on the right-hand side, it might be a little tougher because of the grade.
I think it means
more towards the bottom, towards the bottom.
On the entrance?
At least the bottom.
At the street.
Well, there's at the street, but then also depending on from the neighbor, it's just going to go over to the driveway. You might at least put some shrubs in or something like that to kind of accent their yards.
We have no issue with that.
If you talk with them, I think it would kind of probably detract if you actually had, vinyl fence lines going all the way down, but actually having some type of low landscaping or something just to kind of.
Yeah,
we have no issue, and that's part of the reason too why I want to keep it as a homeowners association.
Yeah.
Because if you lift it up to individual owners and something dies and something,
Yep.
our experience is we're gone. 2 years later, it's hard enough for young people to keep things going. with an association,
Right.
they get fixed.
So the SPAC is also bringing up the other's property as well, so it's just kind of like, rather than here's a
Correct.
road here, it's like, how does this aesthetically add towards the
This is
property?
kind of a
as well?
very basic but good example. You know, Ethier Street, we did, you know, a rock wall, and they did a landscaping area. So, I mean, again, just a base, they did, that was very simple, but as a matter of fact, I remembered in my head it being bigger, but that's neither here nor there, so.
Aspects, but yeah, whether or not, so I would say please reach out to the neighbors and see if there's something like that between either those shrubs or even like some trees, intermittent trees or something like that, just to kind of,
I'm not arguing.
Like that.
I agree.
Yeah. Good.
other than that, we just don't want it to look like an open, just an
I know.
open strip going up to the development, and it's kind of like, what is this spot? If it's,
Peggy, did you have any other comments?
Not tonight.
okay, we're also going to be asking for elevations or architectural renderings and things like that, so we want to see what it is it's going to look
So we
like.
can see what they're going to look like, what the buildings will look like, which
And
is,
especially because they're going to be viewable, the second story, you want to make sure that they're going to look good. That angle too. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
that's the case.
all right, Justine, let's give this one more
Yes.
try.
Thank you for
She
your
was on
patience.
last time. I think we got it now.
All right, awesome.
Hi there.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Great. Thank you for your help on this. So I'm Justine Little, and my husband is here, Jesse Little. We live on 6 McIntosh Lane. And I'll let my husband go. He has a question first.
So, to my understanding, the 22-foot entrance to this housing complex is going to be a 10% grade, correct?
Yes.
So what I'm already having a problem with, and I can assure you that all of the people on Townsend Street have had the same issue, is when we are driving on Townsend Street to go to work in the morning, there has been a huge air dam of water that drains from between those two properties that actually enters Townsend Street. I can assure you I have hit that water dam and almost sideswiped the telephone pole that's right near there as a result of the water coming from in between those two homes. What I am concerned with is if you put a 10% grade and you have water that's running that eventually freezes, it will collect into Townsend Street and further be more of an ice dam for the traveling pedestrians on Townsend Street. That's one of my concerns. The other concern is I actually work in healthcare, and I'm looking at the plot plan as we speak, and it looks like between the parking spaces and the property line, there's 22 feet where those 5 or 6 parking spots are. How do you propose that a safety vehicle would fit through there and paramedics to go into one of those homes if somebody's parked in the parking lot and or you happen to have an Amazon delivery truck that's also blocking the way? Or, for example, if one house has 2 cars and then they have a child that has a 3rd car and you have a child that has a 4th car, how are all those cars going to fit in that complex where safety vehicles would have a hard time either establishing to get into the residence or turning around and proceeding to back out of there? You're hoping that no traffic is going to impede flow for any one of those units based on, what you're seeing here. And it looks great if there's nobody parked there, but what if there's a bunch of parking in those spaces? That would definitely impede traffic and safety vehicles to get into there. Where you look at our street on McIntosh Lane, we have a huge cul-de-sac that safety vehicles can appropriately turn around and get in and out of there in a quick amount of time. So those were the concerns that I had.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you. So valid points, because it's like, it's like up there, but sometimes at the end, particularly with the house on the right, typically that's like a hammerhead. That's where the hammerhead is about, getting in and turning.
Yeah, so I can answer the couple questions. So the first one, it talks about the drainage coming down the street. So there is a small detention basin at the end, at the corner there that
shows on this one, right?
That you're proposing.
No, so there's an existing depression right now that needs to be cleaned and reshaped, and that was part of what we're proposing here is to.
Is that what you're talking about?
On the right, no, the right-hand, actually the left-hand side, right, the left-hand property corner of the abutting property.
Okay.
There's this you can see where there's a ton of yeah, there you go. There's a small depression there that needs to be maintained and cleaned out and kind of reshaped. And so as part of that, that's what we're going to do. As the runoff comes down now, there's nothing there to collect it. As part of the proposal, there will be catch basins in the street and then put into an underground drainage system.
That's what I was trying to get at when I was pointing to it was your infiltration system here, is that not collecting runoff that's
correct?
Down
so the catch basins at the corner of the driveway at the intersection of Townsend Street, we'll bring it back to that system and then we'll bring it back into that depression that needs to be updated at the corner of the property. And so all that will take care of the runoff that comes down that pipe stem. But anything above that driveway, the 100 and what would I say was 175 feet or so, anything above that's actually going to be collected and routed in a different direction, where right now it doesn't. And so yes, there is a substantial amount of water that comes right now into Townsend Street, and I don't disagree with them because there's nothing stopping it. We're actually going to kind of reroute a lot of that runoff that's coming down into that site and then put it back into the ground. And so that's why we have pretty substantial drainage system to take care of the runoff on those projects.
You might not know the answer to this, but out of curiosity, are there combined sewers in Townsend Street?
Not here. This is I think the newer section that was done.
Oh, when they did McIntosh and Cortland?
Just before that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe further down past, what was it, the Eastwood Club or something like that? Maybe the older sewer, but I think from Eastwood down to here was somewhat newer.
Okay.
Because when we did the Townsend Street 25 years ago, that McIntosh Lane 25 years ago, I know this was considered a newer main.
Okay.
Right, so this is not combined.
And while you get to his other question in 1 second, just while I'm thinking of it, the other thing that we want to make sure that we kind of iron out between now and then, especially because I don't have department comment, is that we'll have to mention to Chantel to reach out for department comment if she hasn't already, but I would suggest you reaching out so we're going to need fire sign off on the street like we just talked about with Smith Street. Particularly, and you can elaborate on this point to Jesse's comment about the width, because I also had I also had at least a mental thought of, this is 22 feet wide, but it's 22. It looks.
It's not 22 feet wide to the parking spaces.
Okay, it's 22.
No. It's 22 to the edge of the parking space. That's the dimension to the.
I think it's just because it hits the edge of that parking lot. Okay, so it's 22 feet wide all the way through.
Yeah,
dimensions.
The architects like to use those hashes like that, and I like to use arrows.
So
but
we're going to need
I lose on that argument.
I hear you.
Dimensions of the parking spaces. Because
so the parking space dimension is 11 foot wide by 22 feet
There's
wide.
Arrow, a label right here.
22 feet wide, long.
But also show them on the driveways, because the driveways look kind of short.
So if I could just talk about the next item. So the driveways are to the dimensions of the city's requirements for parking spaces. So as I stated before, you have a 2-car garage and you have 2 spaces in front of each house. So
there's garages.
There's 2-car garages, and then 2 cars in front of those garages. So really, if you use the garage, which not everybody does, let's be fair, like I know I don't use my garage, so you could have 4 spaces.
So I just want to, so the driveway, the main pipe stem driveway, it just looks like it's going to be impeding on the parking spaces on the first building on the left. So it's not set back enough either, or just from there, it doesn't look like it's.
The first building on the left is, nope, it still has, we're still 18 feet deep. I think it's 18 or 18.
Yeah, without sticking the butt end of the vehicle into the driveway,
Nope.
It's got to be clear.
It's tough to see on that plan, and I'm just trying to read.
And it's typically also, 3 feet from a structure, but you'd be closer to the garage. You still want to show, but not right up to the garage.
Yeah.
So you need to show some kind of little distance and still not have the back end into the.
Yep, and remember that unit's going to change a little bit too, because of the conversation we already had. So
yes,
when we change that, if we can add a couple more feet to the pavement, we'll add a couple more feet to that pavement there, and that will be fine. And then, so safety, so it is not 22 feet, including the parallel space, as we just clarified. It's 22 plus 11, so it's 33 feet there. Okay. So there's 6 spaces. So each unit really has, like I said, 4 spaces if you include the garage, plus we have an additional 6 spaces. one of the things that we want to note is we just knocked the number of units down from 8 to 4. Right, so, and we doubled the amount of parking spaces in front of these units by doing that, because before we had 1-car garage and 1 car in front of it. So we've really increased the number of spaces up here and knocked the number of units in half. For safety purposes, when they pull in, as I stated before, that kind of strange-looking nub of pavement that's out there, that's similar to what Mr. Cleaves was in front of you just a little bit ago, had the same thing, right? That's what the fire department's been allowing for these type of developments. Instead of having a turnaround, they've been using a T intersection like that, where they would use that to turn their fire trucks around. So that's what that, on the northwest corner, that's for fire safety purposes. And so that's what they've been asking for recently. And I know we've done a few of these.
Right, but I'm just more towards the eastern side. It's like towards the end. It's like what happens when they travel down to the end of the development.
So they would have to back up and back in and then turn back out to the site is how they do it.
Right.
And so, like I said, we've done a few of these now, and that's been what they've been asking for a driveway of this length. Like I said, the driveway's, what the heck, I wrote the number down on my other sheet. I think it was not even 400 feet long. That's 365 feet, right? So it's long enough to require that, but it's still short in length, so that's why we're proposing.
The only other
that way.
suggestion I might have to that point, maybe, because I understand what Paul is saying, this backing out is tricky with these parallel spaces here if someone's using this. The only other thing I would suggest is maybe just a gravel turnaround, 1 car width here, so these spaces can back out there and move out. I don't know if you can see what.
Yeah, no, I'm sketching it on my plan now. Actually.
Yeah. So and it doesn't even have to be pavement. You can do stone dust or some sort of crushed gravel or whatever, so that you have a turnaround. So that if someone's using this space, the occupants of this house don't have to back, cause any potential inner development accidents with that other house. I think it's a minor concern, but it's easy to solve.
Yep, we can see that. Yeah, and now, and again, because we've lessened the footprint here, we do have a little bit of wiggle room, right? So,
Yeah.
add that little bump in. We can,
tiny hammer piece or something.
yeah, we can add that little thing for the. I understand what you're saying. Now, I thought you were looking for emergency turnaround there. Yeah, emergency
Well, that was
turnaround
my
might be
first thought, because typically I do see them like at the end, particularly like a deadish end, like because they want to go all the way down and be able to like. So
yeah,
we've seen that,
and like I said, on these type of developments, they've been a little, they're willing to work, I think, with the developers on these things.
That's fine as long as they're okay with
nope,
that.
and that's where we've kind of showed this through the whole process. So, and we'll make sure we get. I think Chantel. We'll talk to Chantel, and if she doesn't already have those comments, we can reach out to the fire department ourselves.
So my suggestion, I think the important department comments are just going to be DPW, engineering, and fire.
Yep, and there'll be, you have to engineer retaining wall. Everybody wants to know. We want to see elevations.
Yeah, and I know that's what we're talking to the applicant about it, and obviously that
landscaping.
The retaining walls we're talking about would have that stone facade to it, right? So it would they all kind of have that nice finish to them if you get the block retaining walls. So.
Yep, and then talk with the neighbors about that, because we're talking about a couple of alternatives about, it's like if you have decorative fencing on the top, the decorative fencing could actually be near the parking, and you have all the arborvitaes and stuff close on top of the wall, so they don't see the fencing, the wall and the fencing. It's like all straight up. It's the wall, landscaping, and your fencing is behind where your parking is, barrier.
So, the fall protection fencing, whatever it ends up, railing fencing, whatever it ends up being.
Has to be against your parking area.
It has to be right on top of the wall.
Well, you're going to have
depends how far.
You're going to have arborvitaes. You're going to have 6-foot arborvitaes side by side. You're not going to be able to drive. Even if someone wanted to go straight through those parking spaces, you can't. You won't be able to.
I know. It's just more. I realize that.
Are you saying you want curb stops or like?
No. Well, there's that, but also just saying.
Well, there's going to be a curb there.
Sometimes, depending on the distance of the setback, whether or not the, where the fall protection piece actually is, if it's certainly setback from a drop, where it's needed.
Oh, it's going to be top of the wall. It has to be top of the wall, because you can't have someone go on the other side of it. So
on something like this, I think it's going to be built into the wall. That's typically how we do these. You can build the fall protection right into the wall for the block. For the block wall, depending on what block wall you use, it might be a smaller railing, or you can use a bigger
so
post,
we're talking fall protection. What are we talking about from falling here?
because we have more than 30 inches of separate, height difference, we need fall
Right.
protection there.
True, but what are we talking, like, persons, or are we talking vehicles? Like, I don't think we need a guardrail there. The guardrail needs to be closer to you, towards, on the parking area side. Then
We're
put
talking
something
people.
else on the other side.
We're talking fall protection for people.
Just because there's a disconnect here. She's talking about she wants a guardrail at the edge of the parking spaces, but I will remind you, Paula, they're parallel spaces.
They're parallel, yeah.
So it's not like anyone's pulling
No,
straight
but
in.
you said it's all sloped this way, so they're all sliding that way. They're all.
Well, the parking is flat. The parking is fairly flat.
It is?
Yes, the spaces themselves are fairly flat.
So let me pull up this. The parking lot's completely flat.
Yeah.
See, there's no elevation changes in the parking area. All the
Okay.
elevation is on both sides of it.
Yeah.
The parking lot is completely flat.
Yeah, so that makes sense of putting a fence right at the top of that.
Well, that's where the
Then
arborvitae's
why
are
you
going.
have to put the fence at the top of the
The
retaining
arborvitae
wall?
goes right along
The curb line.
right along that parking area.
Well, you can put the arborvitae's closer to the wall and put the fence on that side. So.
We need to fall into the slope, and we wouldn't have the room to plant them on the slope like that. So that's why they're there, is because we have a little flat area there.
I don't mind that you want a fence. I'm just saying
No,
I don't think it's necessary because a fence isn't going to stop a car anyway.
If it's there for fall protection for a car, I know it's above the.
You're talking about a guardrail then. A fence
Yeah.
won't stop a car.
Yeah, you're asking for a guard. Well, I would table the guardrail and I guess and allow the engineering department to see if they want
I
one.
think, you understand what I'm trying to get at. I don't, as a homeowner, look at that in my backyard. I don't want to see a 6-foot wall and then a vinyl fence or something on the top of that. It's like if you can just have aesthetics of bushes on the top of it.
Well, we're not looking. I don't think we're talking.
If there's a fall protection, a fence that's necessary, you do it behind it.
I don't think we're talking vinyl fence on top of the wall. My thought is more like a railing, more of an open railing, so you see the arborvitae behind it. That the rails aren't so busy that enough that you meet the requirements for fall protection,
I think
but
the
not.
last one we approved was the one on not Old South Street, on Wayland Street, South Street, was I think at the top of that big retaining wall was 4 foot.
Yeah, that's a
black vinyl
commercial
coated
property.
No, I know.
But
I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying is that's the type of fence they put at the top of retaining walls. It's not something that's going to be. It's not. You can't see through it. It's just to protect people from literally falling.
Yeah.
So unless you, the problem with a vinyl fence there is it's above those houses, so I don't think it solves anything.
Just ask the question. It's my understanding that if there's a certain setback distance from, linear distance from where the wall is, whether or not what type of fence you need, if any.
Yeah, we can have the conversation.
Just have a conversation.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, the building inspector is going to tell us what we need for fall protection.
Yes.
And the engineer is going to tell us if he thinks we need. DPW will tell us if they think we need a guardrail there. Along the parallel spaces.
Right. This one looked like a compound.
No, and that's what I'm trying not to have. I'd rather have as open of a railing on top of that wall, so you're not looking at slats and that you can really see the arborvitae behind it, is really what that's how I envision.
Peggy, do you have a question or comment?
You just got to come up to the microphone. Otherwise, people can't hear you at home.
There was discussion about the water and
Yes.
that it's a wet area. This area, most of us have sump pumps because there's a high water table. So just a thought, not being a builder, the considerations with 4 more homes up higher, how does that affect, will it affect the water level, and does it add to more sump pumps usage?
Good question. We'll ask.
Thank you.
So it goes back to the comment earlier, right, about all the water comes off the hill. So now we're going to cut off a fair amount of the water comes down the hill and try getting as much of it back into the ground. And then it actually gets back routed through the wetlands. So the intent is to get more of it back into the ground. I don't think anybody in this whole area has ever said the material out here is great. Because like I said, it was an apple orchard, right? So even before we did McIntosh Lane, we all knew the material. It's great for farming, not great for infiltration. So we're doing everything we can to get the water back into the ground. But the intent is to root as much of it as we can away from that point that they're having issues with, into the backyard of those butters that are right along the Townsend Street there.
Okay.
And that's why, like I said, it's a fairly substantial drainage system we have to install to meet the regulations for 4 houses.
The Littles have their hands raised again. Do you want me to go to that?
Justine?
May I comment on that, sir?
Hold on one second. She just told me to unmute him, so I did.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi there. This is Justine. So I just wanted to get an understanding of the preservation of the landscape as it is. Our meeting that we had months back, you know, I had discussed about the winds that come down from Hollis Hills, because they're at a much higher elevation than we are in McIntosh Lane, and it comes, you know, facing us into the back of the woods. So, you know, my concern is, okay, how much of those trees are we preserving?
Paul, do you mind calling up the aerial that we had before?
Yeah.
We'll pull up the aerial, Justine, so we can point something out. Boy, that was good.
What's that?
You were right on it.
I look at aerials all day long. Know exactly where it is.
So they're at 6.
Six back.
So they're right here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I believe the land that you have here is 7.9 acres, is it?
Yes, 7.9 acres, yep.
Okay, and I believe the comment when I had asked that was about 80% preservation of the trees. But
So we're looking at about 2 acres of the 8 acres would be disturbed of this project. So we're looking at what, that's 25% of the site that gets disturbed?
Justine, just so you know, I don't know if you were following along when we were talking to Ron earlier. I did request, and Wes had said that he's going to draw it up for next meeting, kind of a clearer color version showing, you know, what buffer, what boundaries are staying, what area is untouched. So we might have a better view of it then, so it's easier to understand.
Just scaling off our plan, we're looking at least over 40 feet, it looks like, of natural growth that will remain between the property line and the disturbance. I know when we did the McIntosh Lane subdivision, it was done, I think, as a cluster, if I remember correctly. So the smaller lots, you know, there wasn't a lot of growth that was left out there, I know, to get that subdivision done. So there's not a lot of growth on their property. So, but I think we're looking at a little over 40 feet on this property as a natural buffer.
Okay.
Are you proposing any accessory structures?
Not at this point.
Justine, did you have anything else?
yeah, no, it seems like a tight space to put 4 structures in a 2-acre spot. You know, we live on, I think, 0.98 acres, and, you know, we don't have a lot of land as it is. So I'm just curious how that's going to visually look.
Well, picking up a little bit on what Christine just said remotely, you know, it's one thing that bothers me a little bit about the plan is that 4th house on the right. And I think the vice chair already addressed this a little bit. Maybe you can go back to that drawing again, Paul. The layout of the home. Yeah, right there.
Yep.
I can picture a large moving van coming into that property, moving someone into that 4th house on the right. And that large moving van pulls into the driveway and then says to themselves, how do we get out of here? You know, do we have to back all the way down the street to that turnaround? They might not be able to do that well. They might like to have a turnaround there. Now, I know the vice chair proposed possibly a turnaround to the left of that house where there might be grass. I just don't think that would look good with the landscaping in the area. It might be, if one had to be there, maybe on the other side of the house would be a more appropriate place for a turnaround. And I think one of the problems with this plan, and one of the things I agree wholeheartedly with Christine about, is it would work a lot better on this lot if there were 3 homes there. Yeah. It might be a lot more workable as far as turnarounds and open space and ease of movement around the development. It doesn't have to be 4 homes on this lot. It could be less. So just an observation. The density concerns me a little bit. The access to the homes concern me a little bit. And that's kind of where I stand. I'm still very, very concerned about the homes and the way they're going to look, the elevations. No matter what is built there, the homes have to be equal to or better than the best house in the neighborhood. and that's a given right, with me. So we're looking for some substantial homes on the lot that are very well built and attractive. But I'm a little bit worried about the density of the project, and I'm certainly worried about what the neighbors are saying about the concentration of the homes there.
So I could just address the density issue for a second. So if we look at just the 2 acres that are being developed and 4 houses, we're looking at a half-acre lot size, right? Your zoning out there is 12,500 square feet, which is actually higher density than what we're proposing on the 2 acres.
True.
If we were to look at the entire property of 8 acres, we're looking at 2-acre lot sizes for 4 houses, and you get the remaining 6 acres as open space as part of issues of special permit.
It's more, you're trying to stay out of the wetland area, so that's why it seems to be too dense. So it's kind of like if you're
Correct.
trying
So
to do
if
that,
we were to come back with a standard subdivision, we're going to ask for more than 4 units.
well, I guess
and we
maybe you
would-
should you could potentially come back and show us what a standard subdivision would look like.
So if,
I don't know. I mean, if that's what you're thinking about permitting instead.
So because, just on this topic, and because it was brought up, I just went through.
Go ahead.
And while I didn't do the math, I looked at GIS. I can zoom in and look at all the lot sizes on McIntosh and Cortland.
Yeah.
And it looks like that they probably average 25,000-ish, maybe 30,000 square feet, which is between a little more than a half acre to about 3/4 of an acre. So the actual area of those lots, because if you remember, those of you that I know some of us dealt with the very end of that project, there was open space that was part of that project. So you could basically consider the rear of this site as open space and the 2 acres as development. The half acre is very much in keeping with what's at Cortland and McIntosh, half acre a unit.
and that's why we reduced the number of units to 4 instead of 8, right? I mean, we weren't, 8 was, the 4 duplexes was tighter on this property, and that's why we went down to the 4, and they're not large size houses either, and they're not large boxes either. They're not by any sense of the word there. I mean, you look at, on the left-hand side, we're at 32 by 48, right? It's a smaller box for a house. Granted, the 2 houses in the back, we have the room to do a walkout basement, so you get a little more square footage out of the house, more usable space possibly out of those houses. But they're not large houses by any means.
True, but it is like dense for the neighborhood, so to speak, because they are clustered, but trying to do the preservation of the...
Yeah, preservation of the wetlands and the open space. And that's a trade-off when you do a PUD. I mean... True, but typically... We read the objectives of a PUD.
Yes, usable open space, though. We had to look at usable open space, not just say it's all wetlands. It's nice to preserve wetlands, but...
If you look at the aerial, there's a large portion of that open space that's going to be not wetlands. Mm-hmm. And I get you that percentage for the next meeting. I have no problem with that. It's going to be more than half of that open space is going to be upland.
Can anybody else use, and then it's like, what's the usability of that open space? Does it connect to anything? Is it walkable? Is it a trail? Is it...
It actually, I don't have it again. I'm sorry. I keep looking at things that no one's looking at. Though I don't know that we have any deed access. The city of Fitchburg took the open space parcel, this area that was part of Cortland and McIntosh, which actually abuts that rear of this property. So the city of Fitchburg owns land that abuts what would be the rear upland portion of this site from the open space from Cortland and McIntosh. And again, I don't know how much of that is accessible.
Well, I guess maybe there's a consideration of continuing some of that open space to your parcel. Is that part of it, potentially?
May I talk?
Mm-hmm.
Before Mike O'Hara left years ago, because I was busy on other projects in other towns, I had a discussion with them. It was clear the city of Fitchburg had no use for it. They basically said, no, we'd rather keep it on the tax rolls and get something than have another isolated piece of land. Okay? So then I also talked to, in Leominster, Mike said, why don't you go talk to the folks at Northern Conservation?
North County Land Trust.
North County Land Trust.
And basically, I said, for tax reasons back then, because of some projects we had going, I said, give it to you and track the fund. Nope, we have no interest in that either because we don't have anything in the area. So again, we tried to go that route. And then for the past 15, 16 years, I've just been paying a ton of property taxes to the city of Fitchburg. But we asked those questions back then, and the answer came back affirm. Not really. We just assume you keep it as an association because then we can get some tax money out of it instead of having just another parcel of land. So that was the feedback then. I don't know if things have changed.
Okay. Fair enough. Then and what also comes back later on is like, would they look to further subdivide? So that would also be something that would be not.
So as part of the application, you would condition it that this is it? I mean, that was how you've handled all the rest of the PUDs is what you approve is what you get, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to do here, right, is say we get 4 house lots and the remainder stays in open space for perpetuity.
In the deed of the homeowners association, it can't be expanded.
And if you asked, I'm sure the applicant would give you the open space if the city wanted it. At the end of the day, it doesn't make any.
The fact that the city owns the open space that abuts Hollis Hills, it might make sense to just continue it to that. Sorry, look. Talk about what's
that's why maybe because it looks like there is some type of corridor
Well, that was all
potentially.
brought up.
I don't know.
I'm not saying.
So this just basically on the other side of your wetland there.
Yeah.
If we continued that and gave it to, I think Concom might accept it, or the city as a whole. It might just make sense just to continue that if for whatever reason we ever have a use for that strip in the future. So just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there.
Only because I say this because there does seem to be some type of connection. So whether or not we could explore whether or not it's
Again, I'm not in a debate here, so I'll be happy to do whatever the recommendation is. However, in the last 5-6 years, we've noticed, for example, Sunny Hill, we have another big parcel that we're developing in Lunenburg. And it's clearly wetlands, there's a river and stuff. We made the option to the town there. Would you like to, we'll take the A&R lots because they're single-family homes around it. No, we have no interest because of the following. We have offered it to other town service lakes. DPW, baseball field, meets none of those criteria. It's just wetlands and it's an area, but we don't have anything that's running parallel in it. We just as soon you take that 30 acres, divide it among the 5 homes, and we can then get property tax out of it. And that's how towns, in our experience.
Yeah, I'm well aware of the argument, Ed. It's just something that
we don't want extra parcels of land unless it's tied to something.
It's something that is just worth having the conversation about.
We had it with Mike, and again,
I understand
that was then, but just about
I understand.
about this one.
It's something that's worth having a conversation about.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And this site might be the access to that rear property, the open space for Cortland and McIntosh to get to Townsend Street, which at some point in the future we might need. So maybe we create an easement over the driveway to get access to the rear portion of the site so that people can use it. And again, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's a thought that a conversation that we might be worth having. So we can talk about that internally too to see if it's
we
something
have no issues.
we want to do. Perfect.
That'd be great.
Perfect.
And I don't even want to bring this topic up, but I guess. Accessory dwelling unit, are you planning any of that into interior or on the property?
No.
Okay. So we'll be looking at any type of restriction on for anybody, one of the homes and doing at least an exterior structure.
It becomes easier with condo developments because, as you and I talked about,
that.
the condo unit owners will not own the land wholly. So for the purposes of the accessory dwelling unit provision in the Commonwealth, they won't be able to build a separate structure unless everyone in the condo development wants to build one separate structure.
All 4 of them have to sign off.
But if it's a permit condition of this permit that it's limited to 4 structures and no further development, we might be able to
Want to
nip
make
that in
clear.
the butt with these special permits.
Well, between that and have it in the HOA document, something like that.
Right.
I don't want to surprise any abutter with a structure popping up closer to the setbacks that would be agreed upon.
That's one of the contingents that you put into it, then we'll apply to it.
Well, it's
I don't know
part
if
of it
things
is
get
it's
without
legally
a-
murky from our perspective, from the city saying that, because now, as I'm sure Wes knows, ADUs are allowed by right in a lot of, in this zoning district and every zoning district where single families are either permitted by right or by special permit. So in this case, they're allowed both by special permit and by right. So it's murky. We don't know where it goes. So it would be probably beneficial if you included it in your condo docs, because I don't think it would be practical in a condo development anyway.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have,
So just wanted to just put that out there because just an expectation about that.
Yeah.
You know,
Make note of that, thank you.
and if you were planning on any interior dwelling units that you include in your design up front.
yeah, and if they're interior, there's nothing we can do about it anyway, so, but yes, I get the point.
Well, it's meeting the parking space requirement.
No, I know, what I'm saying is, as far as the state's regulations go,
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do about it, but, yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there any further questions? All right. Do you have any further questions from us?
No.
We do have a hand raised again. You want to go back?
Okay. Stephen, you have a question?
Yeah, so, sorry, are you proposing that the piece of land behind my property and other properties on McIntosh Lane, that somehow it can be a pathway to get to this construction that we're talking about?
So we're not proposing anything yet. We've floated the idea. So I'm sure, I don't know if you know, but see this strip of land right here behind your property? I don't know if you look.
I know.
So that was deeded open space when when the city of Fitchburg approved the cluster development for your project.
Yes.
With Mr. Aho. And I merely floated the idea that it might make sense to continue that along this project to keep conformity with your project. I don't know that we've made any decisions.
All right, but I just want to be clear. You are not proposing that there should be a road or something?
No.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. And I guess in lieu of that, we will continue this, continue to our next meeting?
Yeah. So we can at least see if we can get comments from the other departments.
It might be helpful if you reach out to them.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll make some
Sometimes
phone
you
calls.
can expedite it by contacting them individually.
Yep, understandable.
All right, excellent. I'll make a motion to continue to our February meeting, which for those that are here is the 25th.
All right. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Amanda seconded.
Amanda, thank you, Amanda. The second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say opposed. A roll call vote. Alin?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, we have on our agenda this evening, underneath other business. Actually.
We're going to do block grant first?
Is it on the? We also have 533 Main Street here, so.
Okay. Either one. We have
533.
people here for block grants and Main Street, so you pick.
Okay, Main Street.
Hi, guys.
Hi there.
Good evening.
Did some printouts for you. I might have to go a little analog.
So we'll hand these out, and I think Alex Dillon should be joining us remotely, so he should be on the Zoom. I don't know if we can let Alex, and he's our head of construction.
Yep, just bear with me for 1 second. I'm trying to pull up the plan, so. Thank you. So all I have virtually is the floor plan, so I'll pull those up, and if we need anything else.
Thank you.
We'll go
Should
from there.
be a PowerPoint, Paul, and I can send to you
You
right
can
now.
email it to me. I don't have a PowerPoint.
All right, no worries at all. So
I printed it out for y'all. We see it didn't make it in the data room.
Thank you.
just sent that over to you, Paul. You should have
Thank you.
access to it.
Thank you. All right. I have, so Jacob, I just unmuted Jacob.
Okay, sweet.
I just saw the interior photo wall.
It needs some work for sure.
We're working with
it. It's in tough shape right now, but hopefully tonight we get on track to bringing it back. And Alex, can you hear us?
It was listed as Jacob in there. That's why I said that. I apologize.
There we go.
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. All right, great. Just want to make sure.
All right. I can pull up your presentation here too if you want.
That'd be great.
We'll be
Paul.
briefing off of that.
Thank you very much for doing that.
me see if I can share the slideshow itself. All right. Okay.
Great.
Just let me know whenever you want to move, I'll move.
Excellent. Well, first, just want to really thank the planning board for the opportunity to brief tonight. We're hoping to get a special permit approved for 533 Main Street. We're trying to build 17 market rate housing units in the long vacant 533 Main. So if you can flip to the next slide here. So just a quick status update. You might have been familiar with our first project we came before you with, 298 to 300 Main Street. Just a quick status update. This building's fully leased, ready to rock and roll. You can kind of see the before and after, and this is the style of market rate housing unit we're trying to put in at 533 Main Street. In-unit washer and dryer, nice appliances, just really nice exposed HVAC and all up-to-date housing units here, as well as a commercial space there on the first floor, which is leased. It's going to be a bookstore and gift shop, and we're excited to get that opened up. And if you go to the next slide here, we were recently approved not too long ago for 347 Main Street. Literally had to go down to the bedrock here, had to remove all the floor joists, go down to the granite foundation that was underneath it, and completely gut and redo the entire space from the ground up, literally, reinforcing the steel columns. I give Alex Dillon, who is with us virtually, but give him a lot of credit. He's had a lot of work over there, and so that's going to be a retro arcade bar on the first floor and 8 housing units up above. Construction's going along great. It's underway right now. So just an update on what we have going on Main Street right now and the progress. Mm-hmm. And this gets us now to 533 Main Street. If you flip the page here. So obviously you've seen some of the interior pictures in front of you. The inside of this building is definitely in tough shape, but I think
I accomplished about 12 of them. I didn't give myself enough time.
Alex,
you're about 35 minutes.
Alex, you're
enough time today.
Alex, you're hot mic in there.
You bear with me for 1 second. If you want, I can mute him.
Right.
Oh, there you go. He muted himself.
There you go. Excellent. So this 533 Main Street obviously has tremendous history in the city of Fitchburg. It used to be the old YMCA building, has an amazing stone facade. We're trying to really restore the historic beauty of the building and bring it back, really focusing on that commercial first floor, which has been a vacant storefront in the city for a while. The basement of this building has at different times had 10, 11, 12 inches of water in the basement. There's been water pouring down from the roof. It is really a big overhaul to bring it back.
Is there a vault down in the basement there?
There is, yeah.
Wasn't it a bank? It was a bank, right?
Yeah, it was. Yep. So it's
still outfitted like a bank.
it is definitely.
There's always been rumors of a brook running under the building. Is that true?
Punch Brook does run right underneath, and we're going to have to not only do a sub pump, but really get creative with water management there. That's a lot of pressure on Alex. Luckily, we've got the easy job just briefing the layouts of the apartments, but it's got so much beauty, and we hope to really restore it. You can see the layout of the overall view of the market, the unit count here, and we'll go through this in depth as we flip the page. So that's kind of the exterior from the front. From the rear, it's overgrown right now. There's a lot of greenery that's kind of climbing up the building. There's been trash there. There's been so that's kind of the rear today. But if you actually pull back the greenery and pull back some of the plastic there actually is still stone underneath it. And our goal is to try to bring it back to the beautiful building that it is. So, jumping in here to the exterior elevations. So just kind of drawing the board's attention to the bottom left-hand diagram, there are actually arches on the first floor that were bricked back in, but they were at one point, years and years ago, openings for windows that are actually existing. So structurally, they actually the bricks can be removed, and we can use the the structural integrity of the arch, to put back in windows, which would be nice, for that rear view. The front view, these are mock-ups at this stage, but commercial storefront, trying to get as much visibility to Main Street as we can, and
Paul, do those, the brick columns you have there, is there brick behind that facade that's there right now that's still there?
So, Alex, I don't know if you can, if you heard that, if you can unmute.
Yeah, which area are we talking about? Is
the first floor. I'm just curious if you're going to try and remake the brick, or if this brick actually exists.
Well, that's a great question because it's still covered up right now.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, that sheathing is terrible.
They filled in the old windows with some kind of stone that they pulled out, and then they covered it with whatever that finish is. So as soon as we take that out, I'm hoping it's still there. And if it's not, we'll probably make it look like it used to be. It shouldn't be that.
Because it's a moderately odd brick color. It's not like you won't be able to find that brick. So anyway, it's something for the future. My point to that was, if you can't, you might not want to try and match it. You might want to have different stone or different brick so that it doesn't look like you tried to match something you can't match.
No, I think it's great advice. I mean, that's one of the approaches that we're looking at right now for 347 Main Street, is it'd be really hard to match that brick, so we're trying to come up with a different stone facade and a really nice awning that's going to have lights underneath it and a brand new electric sign. So, but yeah, I think a stone, that's where I defer to Alex, and we'll obviously come up with mock-ups. And,
I'll mention something. Think of some, even on the first floor, some grandeur, like sconce type lighting or something like that on those areas. Something that just really, punches it out.
Yeah, I think the lighting opportunity on Main Street it's a huge need, and I think that each one of these storefronts, if we light them up the right way, I think it'll really help. So we'll take that down.
And the Dara's building isn't too far away from you, and I know when Rick and I think Jim did that building, that there were, the doors they tried to make look nice and the exterior, so you can get some ideas from that.
Definitely. So if you flip to the next page, it gives you, we start from the basement up. This basement actually has over 8-foot ceiling height. It's a large foundation. There's a lot of space down there, and I think a lot of folks, from looking back at the history of the city, there was basement and first floor commercial space that was activated. So a lot of times shops, you could go into the first floor and you could actually go downstairs. We hope to kind of bring back some of that commercial space here, and make that, and you'll see on the next slide, we'll show in a second, the basement commercial space will connect to the first floor commercial space, which will offer a unique opportunity to the right tenant. And then there's going to be storage and tenant amenities for the rest of that square footage in the basement. So, as well as mechanical down there. As you go to the first floor here, we're proposing, there's still a tremendous amount, nearly 5,000 square feet of commercial between that basement and the first floor facing the main street. So you're going to have a very significant commercial footprint. We're in talks with some really awesome potential anchor tenants that have had success here in the region. Jake's the one that's taking the lead. Can't say too much yet, but could be an exciting concept coming in, and they would like to have that upstairs, downstairs opportunity. So that would really bring the main street together with, the whole entire Main Street facing area would all be commercial, and even to the side. And the concept would be to try to have residential on the rear and reopen back up those windows in the back that we were showing you all, and have still a significant amount of commercial space, but also residential. And this would also create our first handicap accessible units, because we've had feedback that that's a need, and right now nothing else that we have as that. So on the first floor, there would be 3 apartments and then the large commercial space.
What are I can't read the label, what are those transformers or condenser units on the back of the building?
That's actually trash, so that's thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's a perfect segue. So we own the land right behind the building. It's actually a really nice area for trash. There's a dumpster already there today, so we would just put a decorative enclosure. We would probably re-pour a pad there, and then have trash outside the building with a decorative fence there behind.
It's later in the presentation, so you'll see it.
Yeah, that's good to hear. We recently, although I haven't pursued it yet, we're having problems with one of the recent conversions we did on the corner of Blossom and Main with trash barrels everywhere. So it's good that you have a plan for that.
Yeah, and it'll be way out of view of Main Street, behind the building, and enclosed properly.
Great.
And then if you go to the second floor, we hope to bring a lot of families to Main Street here. With these units, we have one full bath and then a shower, basically a 3/4 bath in most of the apartments. So hopefully that'll bring more activity to Main Street. And you can see, these are very large. Some of these are large one-bedroom dens. We can't call them 2 beds, and they're not. They're 1 bedroom, plus the den, but. It's a lot of square footage. So, but I think a unique mix where you've got, multiple bathrooms for a family.
Noted the dens are essentially bedrooms. They have closets in them. It just doesn't have a window. So
it could be an office. It could be, obviously, but there's a lot of use for that space.
It's a good amenity. People are a lot teleworking and
home office.
Don't want to do it from their bed.
Exactly. Yeah. And hopefully they can just walk down the street to the train, and then they could be there a couple of days a week in the city. Or and then if you go to the third floor, and what's also going to be great is obviously the bay windows. If you look in the kind of bottom right-hand corner, there's the beautiful stone bay windows in this structure. So, that unit will have great views of Main Street.
That's going to be quite the unit.
Yeah, it's going to be restored. So that's going to be a really nice detail. And obviously there's access and stairways going through the center of the building.
There's no elevator, right?
There isn't. It's a 3-story structure, and
I'm just curious. Not that they had to be.
Going to parking, there's other options, but as kind of the fail-safe here, we are 348 feet from the parking garage directly across the street. There is obviously the crosswalk there, as you see, right at the corner of Putnam in Maine. So very safe access for the tenants to get across the street. We're going to work with the city to get parking permits for each of the families, walk them through that process, and we've done that with the 298, 300 Main Street units already to talk them through that. So,
is the lot right behind you that belongs to Christ Church?
Yeah,
it does belong to the church, which. That's, again, one of these kind of primary options. It'd be great to talk to them about, can we lease spaces, and we're working on that. There's other land around, but as a backup, we know at a minimum we have the garage straight across that we could get to.
Yeah, and we have, it's unfortunate. We've had a plan for quite a few years now to pave the old fire station lot, which is directly on the other side of that Christ Church lot, which would be, I suppose it's almost as proximate as the parking garage anyway, so it's not that big a deal, but...
and in the future, that might be something to look at, parking spaces, but you have to look now, but maybe able to shift them.
Half the space is there, half the space in the parking garage, something like that?
Yeah,
just provide the option.
Yeah, that's really...
Just, no idea when that's going to actually be paved, but...
No, that would be very ideal. I mean, obviously then you don't have to cross the Main Street, and it's behind the building. And so that's a parking plan, and then trash, and we can go a lot of different variations of this with the decorative fence, but the idea is you can kind of see, the sun's kind of shining in the picture, but next to the dumpsters, that's actually just grass and dirt and kind of mulch right now. So we would re-pour that as a pad, and then have dumpsters there for the tenants. Easy access. They can access that from the first floor. Straight out, wouldn't even be seen on Main Street at all. Tenants could access that, use the facilities, and re-enter.
Is that collected through the Christchurch parking lot?
It is today, and so and there's been no issues with that, and they have so far we haven't heard much. I mean, Jake, I think you've been.
I haven't.
Yeah, so we might have to address that with them.
During
But
the week, it's also not really full.
I mean, it's only that we would want to. We want to make sure that if we make that the trash collection on the plan, that
Easement
at some
to
point, at some point they don't say, "Man, you can't go over our lot anymore."
More.
Then where are we
Trash.
at? So that would be my only concern with that. But if you can have some sort of agreement with them or whatever, that would be ideal. If you don't already have some sort of deeded access.
yeah, there's been good communication. The other thing too is that it can be accessed from Fox. So that land behind 533 and that whole grass mulchy area is owned by the building. So theoretically, trash collector could pull up and access from Fox and hook in and take the dumpster. I think, Alex, I don't know if you want to comment there as a backup, just on, because that pad could go right up to the side, the corner of the building there.
It would just change how we approve the screening if we did it that way. I mean, we could make it a permit condition that if, for whatever reason, there were issues with gaining access, that you come back with a new access off of Fox Street. It's not a major issue. It's just something I just want to keep in mind when we're permitting this.
And it might be I don't know whether or not you can put some landscaping or something in that corner so that it's, you come around the corner and it's not just dumpster.
Yeah.
Right there, piece.
Yeah.
Whether it's some shrubbery, something,
a couple
tree.
Evergreens right up the sidewalk, maybe.
It's quite pleasant in that parking lot right there. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it
a lot
is.
I've walked back there quite in my day.
I mean, Alex, I think that's, I'll defer to you, but I don't know if you can hear us, sir.
Sorry, Paul, you'd have to repeat that.
No, we were just talking about the greenery in the corner there. Paul had a
Trish
question
might
about.
like it too. It's like, some to help with that.
Yeah, we were just talking about the instead of having the dumpster right up in the corner, potentially having some greenery there, or having some sort of a plant or a tree or something along those lines. As obviously, Plan A would be to work with Christchurch and see if we could access through, and they've been.
Yeah, unless you have to use it for access, but then if it's just landscaping, you can work with that anyways.
Yeah, it's still working around it.
We don't need to talk about
just,
that.
just want to bring that up to kind of the corner.
That would be really nice. Ideally, okay, great. And then just on timeline here, so another, there's just looking at part one here, process step A is complete, so the property is owned by our group now. We've already got the floor plans and layouts that you've seen here. We would like to, as soon as hopefully everything goes smoothly tonight, depending on the outcome, we would immediately go into plans, architectural designs, MEPs, and trying to get before the building department now, since we've got a feel for just timeline, how long that takes, and just timeline on mechanical engineering drawings. So, and there's quite a bit of it, definitely funding that we need to go. Exactly. So, so ideally, this would be one of the biggest gates is obviously working with you all tonight, and then that would allow us to move forward with everything else. This is kind of the major hurdle. So, but targeting fall, winter of 2026 to have this online. So as soon as we finish 347 Main Street, our crews would pick up their tools, go up the street, and go right to the next one, and nice. keep rolling. So
it's great.
Okay.
So that's just making sure you've got a parking agreement with the city for X number of parking spaces.
Yep, absolutely.
I like the fact that you mentioned you've got commercial basement space for commercial and for the tenant space, so we can put that.
Yep.
And the handicap spaces, apartments on the first floor.
We're looking at doing one unit right now, is the, and then that way they would have a feel for it, and potentially could increase that over time.
Does the board have any questions on the application, or when he comes back with his full application?
I'm just happy the going to tackle this building. I
Yeah.
have thoughts about
It's
tackling
like-
this building. This is one gorgeous structure,
The
and
front of it
the
is so-
potential, it has incredible potential. Your plan looks fantastic.
It's going to look sweet.
I really hope it moves forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Really appreciate that.
That building did have a gorgeous front doorway, an arched doorway to the right.
It did.
Right on Main Street. I'm not even sure it's still there under some of that siding.
Yeah, we have the original pictures, so we know what the original storefront used to look like, which is really cool. It looked very different than what it does right now. The bank kind of boarded it up.
Is that what, the bank is the one who put that?
It looks like from the pictures we've been able to collect from the Historical Society and kind of, because we're just usually trying to recreate what it used to look
Right.
like, the old storefront, which is why the exterior elevations look the way that they do.
Right.
Which is why we have reason to believe like the columns are possible, but we'll see. But you are correct. It looks like there was an archway or like a doorway right there all the way to the right. So we'll see.
Quite prominent, too. I mean, it was a main, huge
I wonder-
entrance.
Was.
I was going to say the FRA has some building material from leftover stone archways there.
That's great intel. Yeah,
I'm not sure whether or
inch
not
helps.
it's been removed at this point in time or if it's still available, but I was just like, if anybody could use it, it might be something that you could use.
Yeah.
I just want to put out there to take a look interest too. And then another thought just hit me, Boston ivy in the back, right? Something simple
Interesting,
like
yeah.
that, to just over the fencing or something like that on your
Yeah.
dumpster stuff or something, just to kind of camouflage. Just a thought, it's looking at that building, it's looking down, you're looking at Beacon Street, something in Boston, kind of thing, so it brings it some characteristics like that.
Yeah, no, it really has it's got the same, potential, and it's been there. The building was that, and hopefully we can bring it back to what it was. So it's going to take a lot of work. You see the interior. I mean, it's
Thank you.
It's an uphill battle for sure, and but it's got a good structure. We think right now the steel beams are, we hope, still in a decent place, and we ran into at 347 Main, the steel beams were compromised, and Alex on the call was able to re-encase them, go through, drill and dowel into the granite foundation and put rebar back in and re-pour footers, and so if we have to do that, we'll do whatever it takes. So
it sounds like you guys will be ready to be on our February agenda?
For
Next
approval of
special
this?
permit?
Yeah, ideally that's what we're.
Or for hearing, I mean?
Yeah, so our goal was to try to come in front of you all for the special permit ASAP, so I don't know.
So it's the last Tuesday in February is our next meeting.
Yeah.
So I would think that,
Materials.
unless I'm mistaken, all the document materials are more or less there because we don't have we've done like very basic site plans for these because there's no site really. Although you will have an exterior dumpster, so there will be something. But you guys tell me. I'm just trying to figure out because if you're going to be on the February agenda, if there are submittals that you need to meet criteria, then they have to be in 2 weeks before that. So.
So you have to advertise for 2 weeks before the meeting. All the materials have to be in.
Yep. Yeah, I think
we try to squeeze it into this one if it's possible today. Then great. If in terms of the materials, we took the other two special permit and submitted it all with the application. We did print the stuff out, knowing it didn't make it into the data room for whatever reason when we were coming here today. So
Yeah, well, today's not a public hearing. Today's just an informal discussion because it wasn't on our agenda as a public hearing. So.
Got it. Yeah, no, understood. Yeah, we will.
Well, you guys talk about it. My point was, if you said yes, absolutely, then just make sure you talk to Chantel.
Yeah, no, our goal is to come right back in front of you all. Yeah, I think we had a bit of a. We will be. Our goal is to come to the next meeting, absolutely, and try to have the formal special permit approved at that point. It'll be probably a very similar presentation to what we have tonight, and ultimately, maybe locust plan and go over the dumpsters more in depth. But I think that's the goal. Would be a special permit on the next meeting.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Do you need anything else from us?
Nope.
No,
Just make sure you touch bases with the departments as well.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah. DPW.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us. Thanks for your time.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, we have CDBG review.
Hey, let me pull that up.
Ouch.
Thanks a lot.
I did have a conversation just before the meeting tonight with Paul Boschman, and I reminded him that he has the ultimate say in this and not us. And I reminded him also that we are just an advisory board and we make no determinations nor any final decisions whatsoever. So I just wanted to make that known.
Yeah, our role in CDBG review is just make a recommendation to the mayor's office.
Right.
Then we present it to council.
Find the email because it's not in our Dropbox.
And the community development office had such paces with the mayor's office, so we'll see what other changes there.
If I can get it quick, I can forward it to you.
Yeah, no, I have it. This one I had handy. I assumed it was in there, so. All right. So it's probably easier not doing the spreadsheet because the spreadsheet will look funny online. So I'll pull up this document, which has the community development recommendations. So I don't know how you want to run this, Paula. It's up to you.
Well, I wonder if we have to bring up the spreadsheet, because we got to show the total and the ends and stuff. But at least if we can go through.
So the totals are still here. They're at the end of each category. Okay. So all the stuff in the spreadsheet's here. It's just not as
okay, so let's go. Well, I guess page 1.
Yep. Do you want me to skip page 1?
No, start with page 1.
This is page 1.
All right, so, and it's just going through, it looks like full funding is recommended for the West Main Street paving and sidewalk reconstruction. It looks like.
Jackie, do you want a copy? I have one printed out. So I don't know how easy it is to read, but you can keep that.
A full request, a full funding for $15,000 for city park signs replacement. Digital signage, no funding of the $45,000. Project D, can you scroll a little bit? Crocker Field grandstand restoration, $30,000 of the requested $30,000 for a total category of public facilities and improvements for $195,000 out of the $240 requested. So that's that category. Does anybody have any questions on that?
No, I do just want to say that I had a conversation with the counselor about the digital sign, and I reminded him, although he was fine with it, I reminded him that the more I thought about it, not only is it expensive to put in the digital sign, but as soon as things go haywire with that, it's so expensive probably to repair or replace or whatever. Just the idea didn't sound like a practical idea. So I'm fine with that page.
Okay.
Oh, the other question that Paul brought up, and I'm sure he'll bring up to you again, Liz, so I'll at least mention it to you. The sidewalk in West Street, sidewalk and road, he said, I think his exact wording was, I'll approve it if it's granite curbing and concrete sidewalks. And I said, I would assume it is, because we did that with the funds that we did for that first stretch in front of Red Brick River Mill. Do you know?
I cannot confirm that. So the last time I had a conversation about sidewalks with our DPW commissioner, I think we were generally, he was generally saying, granite curbing everywhere, but there are times where asphalt sidewalk makes more sense than concrete. And
well, granite curbing is the most important part, so that the sidewalks don't get destroyed. Yeah, right, absolutely. Okay, I
so
just
at least granite curbing will.
Yeah, I just wanted to relay that because you'll probably hear it at the council meeting.
Sure, I will. Okay. Thank you.
And it is Main Street, so Main Street.
Yeah.
Too. Public services category looks like the funding request of $20,000 looks like full funding recommended. F, Fitchburg Farmers Market, full funding of $7,000 recommended. Project Assistant Crime Analyst Program, not recommended. Fitchburg Community Policing Project, full funding of $20,000 recommended. Family Homeless Shelter, $10,000 full funding recommended. Is there more in this category? Next page.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, sorry. And this is the category with the cap on it.
Yep.
We have next project, Fitchburg Homeless Prevention Project, 10,000 of the 20,000 recommended. Resident Service Coordinator and Activities, full funding of 7,000 recommended. Project Learn Steam Transportation, 18,000 of the 72,000 recommended. Mayor's Energy Fund, full funding of 5,000 recommended. One-to-one mentoring for Fitchburg youth,
Sorry. I didn't mean to-
5,000 of the 10,000 recommended. Partial funding. Spartacus, 20,000 of the 25,000 requested, recommended. And Helping Ourselves, 3,500 of the 7,000 recommended.
Liz, I did have a question for you,
Or-
and I suppose I could have reset.
Wait, Public Services total proposals of 125,500 out of the 243,000 requested.
Which is due to the cap. But
You know.
I did want to mention, did you talk, I assume you had this conversation, the Spanish American Center, is 3,500 enough to get anything done? Like, is that just like a, it seems like the paperwork's not even worth the $3,500 is what I'm saying.
To be perfectly honest, that was a part of the conversation I did have with the mayor when we were discussing this. So, yeah, yes, we did have that conversation, but ultimately landed on that.
Okay. And I don't feel strongly about it one way or another. It's, I mean, obviously, most everything in this, people, there's people can make a good case for funding. So whenever we can give someone funding and fit it in there, I don't disagree with it. I thought about the number and basically saying it just seemed crazy.
Well, they probably can, it's more of a satellite facility in Fitchburg to really help. It's already in conjunction with another location, so.
Sorry, this is a
Spanish.
Satellite facility,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
sort of adjunct to their main services. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but bringing some of that service in town.
To Fitchburg is really the purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Pete, I just got your email. Sorry I didn't share those. I just saw it. Peter, I just got your email. Sorry I didn't share them. He sent me photos of the building.
Right.
Which they're
Original?
There's some amazing photos.
Save them for the
Next time, Paul.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Next category.
All right. For what it's worth, Paul's going to have a big issue with the Mayor's Energy Fund
He's met. Yeah, we had a conversation before this meeting too.
and the sundial. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And, we are on economic development. We have small business technical assistance of 30,000 of the recommended 30,000. Recommendation for sign and facade programs, 60 full funding of 60,000 recommended. Fitchburg Downtown Coordinator, full funding of 35,000 recommended. That's also balanced with the college.
But
Is that?
I thought the last year that they weren't going to fund that.
They didn't last year.
They didn't, but the new administration has committed to funding it from the college, so we're matching the fund. It'll be underneath Fitchburg State.
Interesting.
Fitchburg Public Market launching diverse food entrepreneurs, 8,500 of the 75,390 recommended, for a total of 133,500 in funding out of the 200,390 requested. Does anybody have any questions on this category? There was a question of the Fitchburg Public Market, if the 8,500, if what the Fitchburg Public Market can do anything with the 8,500, like similar, like that's such a.
So they were requesting, so they have an existing manager who is already being paid. They were basically requesting that 75,000 represented, I think, her salary and fringe. So although we wouldn't be coming even close to that,
Right.
any amount would
be helpful.
Would go towards her salary.
All right, anybody got questions on that category? All right, next category, rehabilitation and preservation, critical home repair, full funding of 30,000 recommended. Code enforcement, full funding of 121,000 recommended. Improving community economic development through improved code enforcement, the full funding recommended, 118,500. Retaining wall replacement, no funding recommended. For a total of 269,500 out of 362 $1,042 requested for a total of 4 proposals.
I just have one, one comment, but they're related to both the Board of Health and the Building Department's request. So, and I remember last year and many years, Steve Curry and I, we've had conversations in the CDBG public hearings about, they always wish that could be in the general fund and could be part of the city's operating budget, but it can't. So we've talked about the code enforcement for the Board of Health before, and I get it. It's a position of need. The city can't afford to pay for it, so we have to rely on block grant for it. My concern is adding the building department to that we're starting to add a lot of city staff to block grant funding. I 100% understand why it's in there. City can't afford to add the position. We need the position, and I completely get why it's in there. I think it has to be known to not only city staff, but the mayor, that this has to be temporary.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So let me tell you, the one thing that we discovered when we were sort of going through what can you do within the parameters of Board of Health, Building Department for code enforcement, is that the way we would take in revenue that was generated through code enforcement, we were misunderstanding how to do that. We were considering it program income, but actually that's not the way it works with CDBG specific to code enforcement. What they call it a different mechanism when we collect fines as a result of some code enforcement action that CDBG generated. What we need to be doing instead is putting it into a revolving fund, and then the next time there's a charge related to code enforcement, we go to the revolving fund first.
Okay.
So in an ideal situation, presuming that the code enforcement is working effectively, and that they actually are doing a lot of enforcement, and that there's some fines generated because of noncompliance, there is going to be an offset, and we're likely to not actually use the full amount of CDBG, which means that it just goes back into the bucket to get reprogrammed the following year.
So how would that look? Let's say, for the sake of argument, next year, let's say, and I have no idea, I have no frame of reference for how many fines they collect, but let's say, for the sake of argument, they collect, 100,000, and the position's 120,000 next year.
Yeah.
So the CDBG request would be for that position for 20,000?
No, it would be, so if they collected $100,000 in fines over the year, presumably instead of charging 118 to CDBG, they're going to charge closer to 18.
Okay.
Because they'll use up that fine money that gets generated along the way.
So you use that revolving fund as reprogrammed money for the next year?
Use the revolving fund in lieu of CDBG. So the regs say, if you have this other money that you generated through CDBG, you have to use that first before you ask for money. So every time we do a payroll, we then charge it to CDBG and get reimbursed for it. So it's not like the money all comes to us and we have it in there,
right.
We allocate it out. It's like as we go along, we are expending and then getting reimbursed for that money.
So let me ask it a different way. So let's say they collect it's 118,500 and they collect 118,500 this year. Next year, let's say the request is 118,500. It's still going to be on there for 118,500, but we'll have 118,500 more to use in CDBG funds.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
So we basically displace the CDBG funds and then it goes back into the bucket.
So because that seems somewhat unique, and have we been doing the Board of Health code enforcement differently?
No, well, that's what I'm saying is, as you'd think that we would know it all for so many years but it's so heavily regulated, it's hard to parse out. And we thought what we were doing was correct, is putting it in as program income.
Yep.
But come to find out, we were not doing it correctly. And so this coming year, Board of Health is going to shift the way they treat that too. They're going to have a revolving fund. And so we might end up in the same situation with that, especially with 40U coming into play and this, more aggressive enforcement.
So it sounds like, and this is more of just I guess
Not need to reprogram it, I mean.
No, so my question is next year, not question, my comment is next year, and I assume you're going to do this anyway because you're going to be doing it a different way. When we have this cover sheet next year, that we spell out what those amounts are separately so that we know, because if.
Generated.
Right. If we're paying both of these positions for the city out of pocket, we should know what they're offsetting to see, is it making sense to keep paying $118,500 and they're generating $5,000 in fines?
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll definitely have a track record.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Next category? Is it the
Okay.
last?
Demolition.
Demolition, out of the 125,000 requested, 104,412 recommended, and that's it for that category. And then we have administration of 183,967 recommended out of the 210 requested, and that's probably due to the cap that's on that.
Yep, that's exactly, that's what we calculate as an estimated 20%.
Okay.
Just as a quick aside, have you already, I know the 2, 3, or 4 properties we've talked about for demo, have we already prioritized what's first? Let me ask my question better. Is Dunkin' Donuts near the top of the list?
We have a slate of 3 that we would like to do all 3 of them.
Okay.
So we do think that we'll have enough funding to do all 3.
Fantastic.
I guess the one thing I would say is if we were short funding the Mechanic Street property and the 7 3rd Street property, they really are more of a hazard neighborhood than 580 Jump. So we probably would need to prioritize for public safety in that.
Yeah, and that's why I asked, because there's not an urgent need to do it, but at some point, when that road gets redesigned, that's going to be an immediate need that the city's going to have to come up with the money if we don't have it in block grant funds, so.
There's a lot of reasons to do it.
So does any board member have any questions on the layout of the CDBG at this point in time? Okay. Anybody like to make a motion just to forward the recommendations as presented? Paul, do you have any other comment on it?
I don't. I don't.
Lynn, do you have any other comment?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the
Forward the recommendation.
the suggestions that we have in front of us and forward them to the mayor for her approval.
All right.
Second.
That was form of a motion with the second. Roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say oppose. Lynn?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
Great. Got that. We have, the next one we do have is fee schedule update. Last things we'll have is our planning board reorg and minutes.
Let me pull this.
So we want to present overhaul of our fee schedule. And if anybody had seen the one, I know it was recently posted. The second page also has what was previously, as well you'll see in the column of current fee, should reflect what the current fee is. You'll see areas highlighted in red are new. The ones in the first column on the left, where the black are the existing categories. Maybe modified the name just slightly in regards to that. And the special permit in particular, the city council needs to approve the fees in regards to special permit. So this is why we're kind of having a draft review. We'll take a look at them. If we think we're in concert with wanting to forward what we have, then they can make the presentation. All the other fees are within the board's purview, but we want to I'll put them all together and be transparent of this is what we're proposing as a new fee schedule, so the council would approve the aspects of the special permit pieces is the request on that.
And Liz, as an aside, after you left the other day, Paul and I we did a rough calculation on the special permit category that we had the per square foot amount for non-residential units. We took it out because we did some math and the numbers were extraordinary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm glad because I was a little confused on where we had landed with that anyway. So I'm glad that you took
a mixture.
So Paul and I decided that because we want to encourage ground floor residential, particularly in Main Street, that even though it might cost the city money, it's something we want to encourage, so why pay extra for it?
You mean ground floor commercial?
Commercial, yes.
You said residential.
Sorry, ground floor, yes. So basically, it was the amount for extra for mixed-use space.
Yeah.
So yes, so we didn't want to discourage commercial, and it just, like I said, the numbers didn't make sense, so that's why it was taken out.
So if we went through, like, on the subdivision side, it was the A&Rs of just changing it slightly of $100 plus 50 versus 25. Preliminary subdivision plan, modest of from $100 to $200 plus $50 per lot from 125. And definitive subdivision, that one just providing two different categories if you had already done a preliminary or you've done no preliminary, because people can go directly to a definitive subdivision plan without doing a preliminary subdivision plan. And we didn't have anything on the books for modification of a subdivision, so thought it would be helpful to add something about what a fee for that, which is about the straight $200 fee.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody had any comments on that, pieces of that. We looked at other cities and towns, and they're quite different all over.
Oh, the numbers are all over the place.
And some would be like,
you can't even compare one, because the numbers for one town are, for one thing make sense, and then for another thing they're completely different. It was
some go by
hard to follow.
linear foot of a subdivision of the road, so charged by linear foot of road. So it's. We just thought we know they had to be increased slightly. So, but also in that regard, we also want to deter subdivisions either. So.
I think the modification one's a good addition.
So the one aside I just want to mention, and this goes for every category, because if you follow the asterisk down, Paula made the note at the bottom, but this is what started the whole process. My original idea was to get things moving, and this is 2 years ago, was to just keep the schedule the way it was for the time being and just add in advertising and legal costs because that's where we're losing most of our money. So even though some of them might seem a little low, they still all include, if they have to have a public hearing and they have to be notified, it would require the applicant to pay that too. Mm-hmm. So it's the two, in that case, well, of course, the subdivision modification, I don't know if it would require advertising. If it did, the applicant would have to pay that on top of the $200.
Okay.
So that was the kind of the gist of this. What started this whole thing was we were losing money basically every public hearing because it costs so much to advertise.
The traditional special permit, it's like $300, but the cost of advertising, and you got to advertise twice, but it was like $150 or so more. Mm-hmm. Per advertisement.
That's crazy.
So it's already took the $300.
Yeah, right.
Just in advertising fees.
Oh, the cost of
going
legal
backwards
advertising it's a budget buster, yeah.
Yeah, with that. So that's the reason why, more like where it started about the fees, of making sure we can separate out advertisement fee, just a separate application fee versus other things that go along with it. Any legal fees, recording fees, things of that nature.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Liz, what we settled on was every year community development is going to come up with the average for the prior year and apply that?
We're going to be, we'll look, probably not the average of the prior year, but probably closer to the end of that year, because legal costs can change, so we want to make sure we're working with the current legal costs, and then we'll average what.
My only suggestion would be, if it's not written in the schedule, it needs to be written somewhere what the policy is, so that once you leave and, we have, or change in administration, we don't have a directive to do it a different way.
My suggestion would be that we put something into our rules and regs that just describe how we look at advertising costs annually.
Sure.
That's a good idea.
Do an annual review of advertising costs and set the new rate to be effective July 1 or something like that.
That's a good idea.
It changes so often, you know what I mean, the price of everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume we'd probably do it once a year.
I would also.
It might be good to have in that rule the flexibility, like obviously if there's a big increase, like we have a jump, then we need to adjust our prices.
I would also assume that at some point in the next decade that we're going to switch away from the paper print version of legal advertising because no one reads them anyway.
Someone has to make a change to the legislature of the master
Right,
law about the publication fee in a newspaper of general circulation when that's not exactly where people get all their news these days.
Yeah.
It's not. But
That's
I think
what most of the cost is for
this
those
is how
things.
the newspapers may be generating enough income to survive.
Well, yeah, at this point, though, yeah, if they're.
Oh, it's not
if
that I don't think the newspapers
No.
deserve them. I mean,
No.
I think such a small portion of the populace would actually read them.
Well, we're also finding not all of them are compliant with the law, so it's just trying to find a publication that circulates in the proper, makes it available in the appropriate manner. In regards to that. So when we go into the special permit pieces, there was a special permits we had broken down. It was $100 publication fee and $25 per dwelling unit, but it was only for PUDs or flexible. So since that time, we have a new category called multifamily. We didn't have that before either. So rather than spelling it out for each unit, it's residential, special permit, $200 plus $50 per dwelling unit. And there's a cap on that. And there was a cap previously on, I think, site plan of like $1,000.
1,500 maybe?
The site plan
Oh,
was.
it was-
Residential site plan was.
Yeah,
$1,000.
multifamily residential use, there was a $100 per dwelling unit, but max of 1,000.
Yeah.
So the other thing between special permits and site plans is to understand is that most cases you've seen from four of us, there's special permit and site plan review. So they don't get charged two fees, it's getting charged the higher of the two fees. So it was important, in some cases, we think, to put there was a cap on the site plan, but not a cap on the special permit. So in that case, so one could go really extremely high if you take, X amount of units and multiply it out for that, in that regard. So then we also, what some other communities have done is like they did break out some larger projects for special permits. So it's like, that maybe they should warrant their own category because they're kind of are in a different category and they're corporate and sometimes take quite a bit of hearings and a lot of review on some of that too. So thought it useful to break out wireless communication facilities, marijuana establishments, and large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic facilities to have their own permit fees rated for that. And there was a little discussion on like the ground-mounted solar of having there's a base fee, and then it was $100 per acre of disturbed area. Other communities have had like per solar.
We talked about doing it by size of the energy production or the amount of panels. It was just too hard to figure out exactly what the dollar amount is, so.
And we say disturbed area, so in other cases too, if you're doing it over a parking lot and you're not disturbing an area, you kind of have lesser of a fee, but that's exactly kind of where you want to put it and not,
It also has the implication that we want to minimize disturbed area for solar fields.
Correct.
so
It kind of works
Even
in
though it
that-
doesn't work that way, it at least reads that way,
Right.
that's our goal.
Yep, so working in that direction, that's kind of what the directive is, even from the state. And then all other special permits just going up from 300 to 400. Modification of a special permit going up 100 to 300. And thought it was just worth mentioning that on a rare occasion, we just do an amendment regarding technical errors or things on a permit. So we just got to bring that back to the table to redo that. Whether or not we keep it in the table, if it's necessary, but we thought it was worth mentioning. That's an activity that we do, so we just want to, here's something else that we do at the board.
My only question, Paula, and this just occurred to me, I get why it says no public hearing, but what happens if there's a special permit amendment and it's a technical correction, but it does require a public hearing?
Well, we can take out the...
I'm just asking, I don't know.
No, you make a good point. It doesn't have to be in the title. And you can just put
say no
as
fee.
applicable.
I mean, I know we would have to advertise if it had a public hearing, but at the same time, if it's a technical correction that we need made, that we deem it fit,
Cross off the no public hearing piece, because we could determine that on the asterisk of whether or not there's an advertisement or something that needs to be made.
it is within that category of if it requires a hearing, it might require the applicant to pay that fee. So I think that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, so we can take just...
Yep, take out the no public hearing.
Yep. Yep. And then repetitive petitions, there's doubled that. Site plan review, there was non-residential use. There was already, it was a straight 300, so it was just recommended we go 400, just $100 increase. These fees have not been touched since 2008 for the most part, in some cases, so I'm going to call this. Residential, which includes smart growth, zoning, and the 3A that we just did. Again, so we just said it was $200 existing now. It was $200 per multifamily dwelling unit for anything multifamily, with a $1,000 cap. So we were recommending a $200 fee plus $50 per dwelling unit. And that kind of takes it down a little bit, not for some smaller housing things. So rather than saying it's $200 per dwelling unit, it's $200 for the fee plus $50 per dwelling unit. So that kind of gives a little bit of a, for some smaller projects, I think, a little more fairness, I guess. And something else that we thought, and it's up for discussion too, is parking plan only. So when we're just doing a parking plan and we're not doing, I want to bring up like Clarendon or Daniel Street, something where we are not reauthorizing the use of the residential. Like we're not saying we're approving dwelling units. They're here because they need a parking plan.
Right, got it.
So we shouldn't be charging them $200 per dwelling unit. We want to be charging them. We're just here for the parking. So should we think about, well, his $200 fee typically was a $300 site plan fee, but start at $200 and then have a dollar figure per parking space to kind of figure it like that, to try to not tack on the residential portion if that's not the part we're approving. It's different. If we're approving the residential portion, it falls into residential, to that category. But if we're just doing parking plans, so if we're just doing even like the commercial plaza and they're looking for X number of parking spaces, it's like, we're just going off the parking spaces.
Yeah, that looks good.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I mean,
And we can
this one
cross
in
off
particular, I know you saw my email, this one in particular.
Yeah, we can cross off the whole comment that's in there, and whatever, if we have to figure out the application could go in our description under rules and regs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how it plays out, because most of the stuff almost all that I think of, our parking plans are going to be, like we talked about, the small residential, 2, 3, 4 families, which the $5 per space is, you're talking about 6 or 8 spaces. I mean, it's inconsequential. So the total fee would be close to what it already is now, which is fine. But
or we can just say
I just worry that at some point we get a parking plan for, Twin City Plaza and there's 700 spaces.
Okay, so looking at it that way, do we just keep it,
300?
Just keep it straight parking plan only, $300? And that's still less than, well...
I just think the $5 is arbitrary and just complicated. Not complicated, you know what I mean, right? Like, I know we've talked about this ad nauseum.
That's how many I need, but then that's not how many we're going to grant. So how many do you get?
Plus, do you want a situation where you're, and again, this won't change what someone does in real life, but do you want to say to someone, if you did less parking spaces, we'd charge you a less fee? Like, again, it's just the concept of it doesn't make sense, but it's...
The heart of it was just trying to lower the cost from a traditional site plan if we're not approving units or other things that go with it, that type of a thing.
It does, though, kind of make sense when you're talking about a smaller project and somebody, when people come up to us and they give us like a hand-drawn parking thing, like, are they paying $300 to come before us to do that?
They are now, yeah.
They were?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, right. I mean, so we...
Unless it was a minor site plan. Minor site plan was $25.
Yeah.
It was under 10 spaces.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, so anything under 10 spaces is not going to pay this fee.
Is that anyway, right?
Yeah. Is that how it's going to go? Then I'm good.
And that's why I said in this particular instance, you just leave it the way it was and just... This doesn't come up, it comes up more often now that we changed the zoning, but when it does come up, like I said, it's a 2, 3, or 4 family. So, I mean, it's not like, Yeah, we spend a lot of time on them, but I don't think it's going to do any better by adding the amount per space. But that's just me.
Well, so if you had a 6-family and you did $5 per dwelling unit, you need 612 spaces.
Per dwelling unit?
Well, if you didn't have this category, they would go into residential.
Well, no, I'm saying you don't have to get rid of the category. Just make it 300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying you leave the category.
Oh, all right.
I get why the category's there. There are people that, we do just a parking plan for, and if we want to, if as long as Chantel's aware, and because she's going to have to specifically, because it's not called a parking plan.
No.
So she's going to have to say, this is just for parking, so we'll charge you 300. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
I get why you put it in there. I just.
Okay. Anybody okay with the 300 recommended, or 250, whatever?
Like if it's 300 now, you can just keep it the same.
I would just keep
Yeah,
it the
might
same.
as
Okay.
well. We got to get as much
All
as
right.
we can.
Change that to 300 across the board. Get rid of the per space. That simplifies it. And see, that's less. See, non-residential use is 400, so that's $100 less if you're not doing, plaza parking lot scenario. Modification of approved site plan with public hearing. It was $25.
Can you, just out of curiosity, and without belaboring this too
That's a
much,
big
can you
one.
remember us doing something like that? I'm just trying to think of, like I guess if Aubuchon came back to us, that's technically a modification of an approved site plan, but we wouldn't be able to find our original site plan. Anyway, it's fine. I don't want to get too off topic, but that one I just don't, a minor site plan
We have
modification.
some by right site plans that are out there that they just need modification, like without the special permit, it was a by right
I just kind of remember doing it. That's all I was saying. But anyway, that's fine.
type of a thing. Well, you get the Dover categories too.
Yep.
If it's just a large site plan.
Yep.
Modify it.
Yep.
So it's half the cost of the site plan, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And minor site plan, I think I'm going to get, let's see, minor modification. What was I thinking about that? It was $25 for a minor site plan.
Are there ever minor site plans that require a public hearing? I'm just wondering why it says no public hearing, and the one above it says with public hearing.
Oh, just a distinction of one's major, one's minor, I guess.
Right, but a major modification, well, yes, okay, I see what you're saying.
That's all. But we can strike it from the category.
Well, the no public hearing, I don't think there's such a thing as a minor site plan that requires a public hearing.
No. But
Because a minor site plan by
Yeah,
nature doesn't require.
It was just trying to differentiate, but we don't call it major site plan either, with the title, so.
Feels like it's more of a reference for the reader.
Yeah, that you're looking for.
And it's fine. I was just, like I said, I'm trying to also make this not as busy as possible
No,
too.
that can come off
The
too.
one thing I've realized in looking at all these cities and towns is it is impossible to read some of the fee schedules that some cities and towns have. They're all over the place. So anyway, just trying to simplify.
I guess minor site plan. I'm trying to think of, I know I had a question, and now I forgot, about minor modification on there, because it's kind of like if you're same price as the site plan or half the price. And that would only apply to minor site plans. Minor modification.
I have no problem with it.
I think it's fine.
You want, so right now, it's just like, here's the same price as a minor.
Are you talking about 200, 200? Is that what you're saying?
Or should it be half the price of, if a minor site plan is $100,
Yeah.
should a modification of that plan be half that cost?
You're talking about separating
Yeah,
minor site plan and
right.
minor modification?
Right.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'd say leave it like that.
Leave it at, okay, leave it like that.
We're overthinking, I think, the amount
Okay.
of times that
We're
happens
going
anyway.
from 25 to 100 and 200.
Yeah.
It's like, it's good. That's good.
So we want to, other things we do, requests under the Scenic Road Act, those were 100, recommend to go to 200.
I will say, for the sake of...
Municipals are waived, they don't pay the fee, so it's mostly Unitils and...
I will say Paula turned me on this one because I originally lobbied to keep it the
Developers.
same.
I was
because
not.
And walls.
Because a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot of, some people we get are just property owners that are cutting a new driveway or doing something like that. And then she reminded me that we have to pay our tree warden to be here, and we have to, go through the whole process of, looking at all the photos, and God forbid we have to do a site walk to pay our tree warden to be there. What
be
little that
$500.
increase is doesn't
Right,
even
yeah.
cover those fees. So I came around after she talked, and she was right. More often than not, it's going to be Unitil anyway. So
Yeah, so make it 300.
Yeah. Well, we could.
no, the two.
Did I say
two's
that out
fine.
loud? I'm
Two's
sorry.
fine.
Right.
Don't worry, the Unitil fees come back. We don't need to to exacerbate that.
Other things that come in front of us, zoning ordinance petitions. Worth mentioning, what do we do? And then so here's something new, public hearing continuance. Okay, so that's new and worth to talk about for a moment. So we tossed a number out there, after 3 continuances, $100 each. Now, on the second page, I tried to explain it a little bit. Continuance of a public hearing fee shall be applied after the third approval. This fee may be waived by a majority vote of the board. The board may also require re-advertisement and notice to abutters paid by the applicant if extensions span greater than X months, because 4 months from opening of the hearing or otherwise deemed in the interest of the public. So it's like after it goes for at least 3 times, the idea.
Because they can always withdraw it without prejudice.
Well, they could, but they could also request their continuance to be, are you really ready? Then it's 2 months from now, or 3 months, not next month. We can't keep going next month or next month. But after it goes so many months, and maybe it's 4 months or 6 months, we can adjust that. This is not for the city council, the piece about that.
You guys, everyone
We
on
can
this
have
board
further
is aware
discussion of that.
how frustrating it is for applicants to
Yeah.
continuously.
So then when we say after
request
4 months, you're going to
continuance.
pay for re-advertisement and for notice to abutters and things of that nature, like all the cards.
No, I think that,
We need to at least, and then we can say up front, you're going to get charged a continuance fee if you don't have your stuff together. In certain circumstances, depending what's going on, we can waive the fee.
yeah, like if they're waiting on ConsCom or something like that.
But then they really need to choose the right date and not keep punting to every single month. That's we want to. So you got an opportunity to
three strikes now.
kind of go a couple months or something. But once you request, I want it 3 months from now, my continuance, or 4 months, then it's well, we need to re-advertise that because it's too far away from when people got first notice about
They
it. So
request to
that was a
continue, not the next meeting, but the meeting after.
They can request
And then
anything. It's up to the board to determine if it's appropriate.
But can we skip it on the agenda? Does it have to be
Yes.
on the
No.
agenda every single time?
Not
not.
if they said, I want to go to March, it doesn't have to be on our February agenda.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right.
But
I
if
think
they don't, then it's
some of
every
them
month.
could do that.
Right.
Right. So that's why we're saying, be a little more choosy, because if you're going to get charged now,
Yeah.
don't keep, right now, it's just we just keep rolling it over, we're not ready yet, every single month, and it's then pick the right month.
Right. Yeah. If you're not going to be ready, then
We just want some more thought into that, because everybody's coming out for this, and the public's coming out for this, so.
Right,
And
and we added in that, I know Paula just read it, but we added in that basically saying, if you do it long enough, you're going to have to repay to do it. Because what we've done recently, I think it was Fairmont Street, I had told the engineer, you really need to tell them to just pay the fee. And they did. I don't know that Chantel said she requested it, and I believe they did. But that is not currently in our fee schedule, so that wasn't technically a requirement. So
No, but then they came back and said, guess what, I want another continuance after she put in for the
Well,
advertisement.
that's why I said, was it Fairmont? Because I don't remember, but
No,
yeah.
it was Fairmont.
Yeah, because we were.
No, I meant redoing the fee for the notification.
Oh.
I just don't remember which one
And then
we did that
other
for.
review fees there was other communities that actually had a bond release fee, because there's there's time that goes into that, and legal review and DPW review, and
Some work.
there's work involved.
We paid our solicitors to review the 2 most recent solar bonds. So we're paying money for that stuff, so.
And we want to make sure we pass on that cost.
Yes.
So, and that's where surety review also, we can add what the category is, but that's also bonds, covenants, and other surety held for the project. Like,
This just occurs to me, it might be better read as surety and contract review, because we also have our legal team review condo docs and things like that.
yep.
That way it's at least in there, and if it says as applicable, if it's something like, oh shoot, we found out that, we're going to get it's going to cost the city X amount of money to review it, we can at least approach the applicant and say, listen, it's in the fee schedule.
Right.
So surety and.
Contract review, probably. Just because there are occasions where we might have an O&M reviewed, or even engineering might not want to review an O&M plan, so they might send it out to a third-party engineer to review it.
Like, basically, we have third-party reviews.
Well, we do have that.
Often enough for any kind of large project.
Now, and that's just a question on the language. The asterisk there says, in addition to the application fee listed above, the applicant is responsible for related costs, including but not limited to applicable advertising and legal fees, peer/consultant review, surety, and inspection fees.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even notice that. That we might already,
to put it all
be covered.
in the other way, we can add another under surety. We had peer review in there too, so we could still add that just as a good reference point as another
Do
line.
we want to pluck that last statement about?
Advertising, peer consultant review, surety, inspection as applicable, and you put it in the table, you mean?
Yeah, put that in the table.
You could.
Yep.
It would take up 2 or 3 lines. You could just do advertising, legal, peer consultant review, surety, contract and inspection fee, and you put that where surety review is, and then it just says as applicable. I think it makes more sense to have that in the table, because we're creating our fee schedule.
Yeah.
So instead of having it as you can get rid of all the asterisks then.
Yeah.
But instead of having it as an asterisk, you literally put it under,
Review fees.
Yeah. I don't know that review fees captures that entire thing. And if you wanted to, you could just put bond release at the end of that sentence, and you could have one with all of them.
Well, bond really has its own fee.
Oh, we're okay. Yeah, you're right. If you want to actually set a fee for it, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
And I'd really like to have a line in there somewhere that says what the legal fee is going to be, so that that's spelled out, and they're not legal fee, the advertising fee. Sorry, that's what I meant. The advertising fee, so that they're not like, oh,
how much is that?
I know I need to pay it, but how much is
the only
it?
problem with doing that is we'd have to update our schedule every year, which is fine, but we'd have to put it on our agenda every December or January, which isn't a bad idea to review it every year.
Well, it depends when we do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have to set a date every year to remember to do it every year if we put it in our fee schedule. So, but I think that's a good idea. Chantel would have to keep track of that, but I think that's a good idea.
So, so there can be so we can make those minor changes to this schedule. All the language underneath it and those aspects are, I'll say, ancillary. They were going to be adopted by us. We can read through the language when we do our rules and regs over again, and we're going to not call it special permit rules and regs, and we're just calling it planning board rules and regs. Be more comprehensive, everything. It includes the fee schedule. But we have more opportunity to tweak all of this language. The piece that is inherent right now is to at least get the fees and the special permit fees in particular over to in front of the city council.
I would suggest to that point that we accept everything up until the review fee section. You can include it too, I don't care, but obviously everything below that is our own fee schedule and everything else. I still suggest we approve it all tonight, because some of those notes apply to the fee schedule, and that way it's at least part of our collecting fees until such a point as we change our rules and regs.
We need a hearing to change our. It says in our rules and regs we need a hearing.
We're not changing our rules and regs. These are applicable solely to the planning board fees. These comments are solely notes to the fee schedule, and they will be part of the appendix that's going to go into our rules and regs with the fee schedule. So what I'm saying is these notes aren't part necessarily of our rules and regs. They're part of the fee schedule, which we're approving tonight. And I only say that because some of them might be important,
for them to understand.
Right. You need some of them to understand the changes we're making.
Yep.
So I think that look at them as part of the fee schedule and not part of our rules and regs.
So something new that was put, because we kind of do this, I put in special cases where a permit has been allowed to be withdrawn without prejudice, the board may choose to apply the former application fee only to the new and revised application if applied within the following, I'll say 3 months. The applicant is responsible for the difference in fees and associated costs. So it allows them to withdraw, but I'm going to reapply. If they reapply, though, a year later, we're not reapplying.
And sometimes, everyone on the board knows, sometimes we ask people to. Like, it'd be better if you come back as something else.
Right.
And we can change those numbers with a simple majority vote at any planning board meeting.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is, just let's approve this so we can get this ball rolling, because this has been September 2022 is when I sent out the first email for this. So this is something that I think we need to change, and then if we want to change anything in the future, it's easy. Paula had mentioned, I think to everyone, we got to redo all our rules and regs anyway for a lot of different reasons. So if we need to, we'll just change this when we do that. So as long as everyone's okay, I think we should move forward.
Motion to recommend the new fee schedule to the city council.
Okay. Motion's made.
So can I just, can I suggest the way to do this?
Go ahead.
I think the motion needs to be motion to approve the new planning board fee schedule, because we have to approve it. And send it to the city council for their review of the special permit fees.
Yep.
Because that's what they have to do.
Second.
I was going to give you the motion. You can still make it.
Moving on.
Okay.
A motion's made, and there was a second. All those in roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say oppose. Lynn?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
Okay, we've got a good starting point here. We're good. We're good.
3 years.
Glad to get that done.
Good job, Paul.
All right. Well, Paula ended up
And Paula.
Picking up a lot, and Liz did a lot for us too.
And Liz, thank you. And thank you to the rest of the
And
board.
Chantel, for that matter. I shouldn't leave anyone out. It was a group effort.
Group effort. And so then we're on to our planning board reorg for calendar year 2025.
I'll make a motion to nominate Paula as board chair.
Second.
Thank you.
We still got to vote on you.
I know. Motion's made with a second to nominate myself, Paula Karen, as the chair. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say opposed. Roll call vote. Lynn?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
Like, why did I say that? No. Thank you for everybody's confidence. And we're going to nominate Paul Fontaine for vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. And all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say oppose. We have Lynn?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And
No
thank you,
problem.
Paula.
And we have minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. We're rolling.
I already shut my window, but let's see if I can get them up quick. All right.
Rolling.
Got them.
I haven't had materials in so long.
Minutes. We have Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? September 2024.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say opposed. Lynn?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
All right, next set.
Amanda had the second for the record, just so you know.
And a second. And we have October 2024 minutes.
Make
there
a
any-
motion to approve.
With the motion to approve.
Second.
And Amanda as a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say oppose. Alin?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Paula? Aye. Tracy?
Aye.
We're rolling.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's made with the second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Night.
All right, thanks, guys.